they teamed together and said, "Hey, we can make something happen." Sile had just is a crazy developer, and actually Thor has was birthed out of about 15 years ago, and he primarily used it for stock, forex trading. And I think Andy kind of gave him the ideas, why don't we take this into crypto? Can't we make this accessible into the crypto world? And I think that's really what initiated the journey. Sile, started with the NFT swapping or like the trait swap. They were also doing kind of collabs, if you will, kind of dual staking. And I think in the NFT rush, I think is what brought me to Solana. And then I came across the like, oh, what was it? Not Solana, so Sovana. I think there was that project there I kind of stumbled across, and then you dual staked and you can buy a frog and you get more whatever staking emissions. And then that really introduced me to the cyber frog world. So, and then from there, I really just loved their vision, and for almost more than 2 years now, I've been a holder, been just kind of increasing my you know participation in
Sure.
what was going on. So I've definitely been all ears, definitely been just soaking up all the knowledge I can, and I think quickly just kind of became just solely immersed into the cyber frogs ecosystem, and it's crazy to see what they've grown into. But let's share my screen here. Let's see, get into. Here we go. All right. Let's see. I think are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Sweet. So I think I should. Oh, I think the sidebar things in my way. Let's see if I can. Oh, great. Minimize my. There you go. Cool. All right. So let me actually just exit it out. Go to the TAP website, just so everyone kind of gets that full experience. So TAP is a Thor automated protocol. There's many different things that Thor offers, and primarily it all began with the sole USDC kind of trading pair that we have here. Let's see my position. I think I need to relog in real quick. Great. Okay, now I think it's waking up now. Sweet. So what it initially does is you can see right through here, it has different pairings, not pairings, but when it holds Solana, you have kind of a partitioned bag. So you got 25% USDC at this time and
Mm.
around 75% Sol. And during this time, Thor goes ahead and puts it into some kind of liquid staking, some LSTs like B Sol, a lot of Jupe Sol right now, and then probably 3% just Solana itself. What's really awesome though too is it uses kind of an automated process of what we call the manual calls, something that you do on your own. But if you don't have time, basically if you're too busy, you can't really catch all the trades. You could see through here in its timeline, it just basically buys low and sells a bit higher. And this is more of a risk adverse vault, if you will, the first one that started out. And yeah, you can see at each red zone, it kind of sells a bit, buys again, sells, buys, and it does this all automated. And you can kind of see it's a lot of clustered cells right up through here. So it might be sensing a bit of top action or waiting for a retrace. It's cool to see that. That's something that we got. I think there's a total volume of 1.2 million. The
Oh my
performance,
gosh.
yeah, the performance has been
Yeah, it's
doing
psycho.
pretty well. The total value, I think, kind of dropped a bit. I think, it was at 3 million for, let's see, for a second, and then I think got released, and some people were kind of finding their own way with stuff. And I think
Mm.
this was during the phase of Cyberfrogs not reinventing themselves, but doing a lot of focus onto the art upgrade too, just so they could claim their own identity from the rug. And
Mm.
I think that was really cool. But just starting on this, if you wanted to join, say I wanted to put, say $1,000, $100, $10, I recommend, if you're doing this to put maybe a bit more than like the 100 if you can. But you'll see that your deposit is split by how the holdings are currently done. So 25% is about the USDC holding, and then you're going to matching the ratio, what's going on there. So you do all that. You could lock it for 90, 180, or 375 days, and then you deposit. Cool. There's different things like the non-holder basically has, a 20% tax on gains only. So if you end up with $200, it's taxed only on the profit. And if it is lower, if say the lock period ends and you're under the $100 you put in, you're not taxed at all. So they only win if you win. Now, that's really cool. That's awesome. And they're getting the analytics put up too. So this is something people have been asking for quite some time, is the comparison of strategies. Like if I only held Sol, if I only was
Mm.
in Thor, and if I only did like the token pair holding. And so this is something really cool that they're going to be getting this historical data up so you can compare. A lot of people just say, oh, if I just stake Sol, I would have made more. But kind of defeating that idea of just being able to perfectly hit the precision, like, oh, so everyone bought Sol at $30, cool, we're all good. That might not be the case. And especially when things going up, you're going to want sometimes a little partition of your bag being managed automatically. And that's where I put most of my Solana, is in this kind of token pair trading. So if I'm just holding Sol and I'm going to be staking it anyways, this is where I put my Solana. Something I also do a lot of trading myself, and I also partition a different set of capital for my like manual trades, my go-tos, maybe DLMMs, doing all this kind of stuff too. I have separate bags, so it's not just solely in the automated process, but the Sol I just want to keep, like say the Moon bag, I'm having it manage that, if that makes sense. So I could get a little bit more bang for my buck, or acquire more Solana. That's the whole point of this, is it's just trying to get you more Sol. And it's definitely beating staking by just the staking emissions. So when you look at it that way, because you're also you're staking too, so it's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion there.
Yeah, honestly, it's seems very enticing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious. So like right now we've had kind of just like up only for the past like week or two. What was the performance like during the sideways chop period? And if you have any like info about this, what's the performance like when price is moving down?
Yeah,
Or
let's
or is
see.
Thor just
It
crushing it all the time?
Well, I'd say Thor, since this is a more risk adverse portfolio, I'd say that you do experience, the dips too. Because if you have 75% in Solana, you're experiencing that drop off. The caveat to that is that you're also selling some at the top there. So what I would say is, if you were just holding Sol, like looking like off, doing your own thing, just holding it, you're better off having this manage it. That's because when you do have those periods of dropping, it does acquire more Sol down low. So I've noticed that the sideways chops usually is actually sometimes better than what I do
Mm.
myself, just because it's able to see a little more like micro movements. And sometimes it could get a little mixed up with that too. So it I guess what I mean to say too is, since this is risk adverse, it's not doing huge buys and sells. But I think this was just the beginning, and I think I'm better off also explaining too some of the other vaults that are just opening up right now too. So as you could see, Jupiter and Bonk are also getting initiated, and soon Jito,
Oh
which was
dang,
voted
dude.
by the community. These are also getting opened up. So you're gonna see, what we wanted is something a little more, a lot of degens and stuff want less risk adverse. We want more
Sure.
capturing that volatility. So this had started up not too long ago, and let's see here.
How do y'all not have more TVL with these kind of stats? I'm kind of
Right?
astonished.
It's I think I don't want to say we are in our own echo chamber, but I think right now what the team was more focused on was having a product and then
Yeah,
people coming across it and seeing it because we do need that historical data. We
yeah.
do need to breach out of the echo chamber because everyone that's involved with the frogs love it. Some people coming in are skeptical and rightfully so because of the promises or what a lot of the people in the chat end up saying like, oh, this is amazing, but sometimes when you're starting out, and I understand this, you get that hesitance, you get that kind of nervousness to jump into something that is over promised sometimes, but that's why we kind of try to back off and let people see for themselves what it can do. Now, a lot of people can tell you, "Oh, I'm better off just trading the meme coins, just jumping in, throwing in a bag, getting my takeaway." And there's those type of people, and we always say, go do that. Like that's okay. This is just for people that maybe don't have a lot of time to be always monitoring it. Or like I said, like right now, sometimes I like to have a different bag here like Jupiter. I'm really looking at like comparing Jupiter to just having it staked into the kind of the Jupe voting system they got and getting
Yep.
the ASR rewards. So that's kind of a fun little test we're looking up against right now is like how does this compare to something like that? Uh, this one, the Jupiter, is a bit less risk adverse, so it's taking more trades and I think a little higher volume in doing so. Right now, this contract it's a lower TVL right now because it's still exiting the beta phase, making sure everything works properly. So everyone was suggested only like $100 deposits. So right now, that's what we're experiencing is kind of a lower TVL. I'm sure once I think in under 30 days, it's going to be opened up to higher deposits. But that's just it. And I know Sile, the developer's really, really into protecting people's, assets. They got something really great, but it wants it to be damn near perfect. So it's slow and steady, but then all at once, right?
Yeah, I
Let's
mean,
see.
if you're an outside observer and you're trying to make a decision as to like what kind of project you want to get involved with, and the dev working for this project is hyper focused on making it perfect, that's like a really good thing. That's
Exactly.
far better than the alternative.
Yeah, and
Um,
you have to have patience too. That's the thing is, I mean, this thing didn't happen overnight. It's been a process of a couple
yeah.
years, but I think they're really at the point of kind of more exponential growth. It took some time, getting this website set up. It's still, I would say, still kind of in the beta phase. It's not finished, but I think the the meat is there. They're just going to be finishing up on some UI, kind of just a user interface and making sure everything works properly. So I think you're going to see a lot of improvements there over some time. But yeah, let's see. What do we got?
things like things like this get me super excited because I think about how this translates to retail adoption. And obviously, you're going to get people who are super skeptical when you say, like, hey, I have an AI tool that
Yeah,
will generate 70% APR or 200% APR. But like, once you have, I'm sure you guys have like back tested data, but also once you have like a strong like track record, then like, because you have people in the tradfi space that are like, oh yeah, my portfolio made 7% last year. I'm ecstatic about that. I'm like, bro, that's what I aim for in 30 minutes if I
yeah,
want to trade.
no, no, and that's a big part is that we forget a big portion of what's going on here too is opening this up to that market. What they're trying really hard is to defeat because everyone sees NFTs, especially those big bag trade fi guys. They're not going to be
Mm,
really excited when they see things tethered to NFTs.
mm.
So that's a big portion of what they're trying to, I wouldn't say hide, but there's two faces, if you will. So you can do the NFT portion. I'm really excited to hear how they incorporate, I don't know if subscriptions,
Mm.
something I can't say for certain because I'm not super depth in the core team, and something I'm sure they're still working on, but they are trying to implement a way so a user can get, hey, I could tell them to go into trap or tap trade .io, Thor, right? And they'll never have to see anything NFT related. They just see this
Yeah.
process. And that's a huge part of what they're trying to do is open this up to users who may not know anything about trading crypto, but you go and see that automatic auto vault of like Jupiter and it's up, 11% in under a month, you're gonna be liking that because you didn't have to do a
Yeah.
damn thing besides, put in a deposit. So I think that is a huge part of what is the future of Tap is gonna be kind of getting that audience that's not crypto savvy users. And that's something that's pretty big. And then of course, that was just the obviously I do like that. I think it's a great thing, but I don't spend a lot of my time in the auto trading platforms.
Mm.
I find myself doing a lot more manual trading. I do a lot more of this, and this is where I think we're going to start getting into the great topics of what Thor can actually do, and kind of what it's doing behind the scenes. So I guess we can start chatting about this. So I don't know if you noticed, I should have maybe made it more apparent, but let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
walk us
we're gonna walk you
through
through.
like what a complete noob would do when they're kind of like just getting exposed to Thor. And then if you don't mind, like give us some like ideas as to like what your day-to-day usage of the platform is and how you derive alpha from it.
Yeah, let's see if I can
I would
just do.
I would love to see y'all develop like a mutual fund where you could have multiple pairs being essentially, yeah, you could
Oh,
like deposit into one fund and it would give you exposure to like the top 5 or top 10 cryptos.
yes, that's a good
Because
idea, and that's something huge that's getting that's definitely talked a lot about there.
yeah,
I think we're gonna be seeing some of that stuff coming up
I
real
think
soon. Yeah,
I think this cycle is the one that marks the true mass adoption of crypto. And like obviously there's probably future scenarios where fiat currency is completely obsolete and everyone is using crypto for all payment rails. But like
yeah,
we see the big ETFs coming into play. We have like El Salvador who's like fully adopted Bitcoin. I think this is when we're going to see a large influx of retail who are now acknowledging that like because in every other cycle before this there was always people making a really loud and strong argument that bitcoin is going to go to zero, and obviously it
yeah,
hasn't, but there were still people who were able to like make a valid argument that that could happen. And I think now people understand like crypto is never going away. It's the best investment vehicle in the world, kind of like if you buy bitcoin and wait 4 years you will be in profit. it
yeah,
has never not succeeded. And so like having something like this where, and what also would be like freaking phenomenal is if you guys had like a fiat on ramp where like some bro could like get his paycheck and then like connect his cash app and be like, yo, let me throw another 200 into my automated crypto mutual fund. And I think that would really go crazy.
yeah. I think that is the ultimate goal, I believe. From what I've been hearing, again, they're just getting everything set up for like the crypto, users ourselves. And then once that is complete, I think the on-ramping thing, and I know a lot of other things are getting developed to where that makes it more easy to, I think, what was it, Venmo or something like that just opened up a way to kind of purchase Solana through Venmo to like Phantom Wallet.
Yeah.
I think yeah, through that. So I think things like that, when we see integration like that, it actually really works well with Thor. So that's what's really cool is the growth in the ecosystem. Like even say Coinbase backed BTC, the CB BTC,
Yep.
things like that actually give Thor in this project more power. So it's awesome to seeing the growth in the ecosystem also combines with our own growth in
I'm
this
grabbing
world,
my
this
coffee real
project.
quick
Yeah.
and make sure I stay adequately caffeinated.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I'm in South America now, and
Oh,
I'm like here on vacation. And anytime like I'm ever in like South or Central America, I notice I always drink so much more coffee because it's cheap and good. I'm like drinking like freaking 5 cups of coffee a day right now.
woof. Nice. No, I feel that I'd be doing that too, definitely if I was there. That's a big thing.
y'all should
I love good coffee.
y'all should pray for my sleep cycles right now because
Yeah.
they're getting wrecked.
Yes, we're out here praying, but enjoy that coffee though. That's where it's at. So let's see. So if I was, I guess, kind of sharing both screens, just trying to set this up appropriately.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what
Yeah.
what percent of your users are in like the 1 to 5 range, and then what percent are kind of like your giga whales who are holding 20, 30, 40 or more frogs?
Mm, that's actually a good question. I can't say for certain, but I know a very large amount. I'd say there's more 1 to 5 holders than there are, say, like the Giga Whale or whale
Mm,
tiers. There are quite a bit in that whale, and I think the highest range on the lower end would probably be, that bullfrog tier. And that
mm,
bullfrog tier gets you access to some of the other kind of, they call it degenerate uh I think, yeah, degen chat pretty much is where it is, and this is where like you'll see Sile and a lot of avid traders kind of sharing Thor calls
mm.
within there. So once you get access to that, like the five, I think you basically kind of get access to the other tiers too, just because everyone's open and sharing. You just don't get it on your personal
Mm,
on the whim. You might have to ask, but everyone's really cool about sharing and stuff. And if you want that access on your own, cool. You're able to, buy some more. But I think no one really pressures anyone to buying much. They just kind of say, "Hey, try single frog, make money off of trading soul, like, or now Jito, right? Make money from getting those pair tradings. And then let's see, sorry, yeah, make some money, try it out, try trading with Sol USDC. Let's see, and then if you like what you see, you could use those profits to acquire more frogs. And that honestly
yeah.
is what I did. Like I started as one, I didn't have mega bags, anything like that. So it was a slow process. I started at 1 frog, two, three, five, 10, and then got to my whale tier, then ended up in the good old giga whale
Yeah,
status
let's
just
go.
over time. And I think that was a big boon to myself. It was a big goal that I wanted, whereas everything I was trading was going into acquiring more frogs and then getting that. Now I'm in a cycle where now it's really sufficient and I've expanded my horizons. Now I could focus
Mm.
on a bunch of different things. But all right, so for the beginning users, this is really cool, right? You got the one holder and you could click Thor, so get to your wallet. You got Thor Pro. This is available to, I believe, the whale tier. I'll go into that later, but so let's say I just wanted to get in with the kind of sign, but of course it's on my ledger, so I gotta tap some buttons.
I feel like y'all have, I'm willing to bet that y'all have some core frog holders who have been there for a while, who are just printing crazy profits because they've gotten good at using your software, and they're never going to sell. And they're
Oh yeah. Oh,
they're-
right now, yeah. You're right. I mean, right now, if I go up and check it out, we have the 3-year staking and about
yeah,
30, yeah,
30%.
about 30% is staked for 3 years. So honestly, that's the thing. The mantra we all have is we don't sell NFTs to make money. You could always do that. Sure, there's always flippers, but the mantra is once you start acquiring frogs, you really don't want to sell it because the community is there to help each other out.
Yeah.
You got some alpha chat, of course, you got some meme coin chats and whatever, but I think it's just so incredible how once you start using it, utilizing Thor, you start winning. It puts you on the winning side of the trade. And I can't tell you how crazy it is. It's just something you have to experience for yourself and use because I didn't believe it either because it was too good to be true. But I'll tell you, there is so much data that gets put into this. And I mean, I guess if you look on the left, this is a Jito call. And basically what I did was everything you see, I do like little sessions, decoding with Dregs, and I just keep it simple. I just draw some lines on a chart and let it run. And so I think I made this box around, what was it, not the 6th, it was the 30th. And so Jito had a buy signal here and a kind of a larger gap there, but we saw just it hit that mark perfectly, bounce off. Sometimes you do get a small, what was it, about 3% outside of the buy zone box. So if you're super high leveraged, yeah, you're gonna get wrecked. But overall, I mean, we see results. I mean, we had a great pump recently, but if you did a spot trade and you got, say, even if I'm being conservative, you bought at the top, at the beginning entry point, you're still up about 40% on that
uh,
swing trade. And that is pretty incredible. I could get into all this other things later too. There's so much to dive into, but I think a big thing right now, and I think this is kind of concerning what you're mentioning, like if I am a beginning frog, if I just wanted to check out what's going on in this like ecosystem. What's happening? What's like how can I make the most of it? Sure, you have Solana, and then you'll have Jito calls too. And since there was a big pump, as you see, sometimes things get invalidated, and so Thor's kind of processing new calls. So we don't have any calls there just yet. We do on Solana. Cool. But you want more, right? And this is just opening up, and I'm sure the UI is going to get fixed a bit too. But up here in the right, there's this kind of little stock, kind of little graph signal right here. This is where it gets really, really fun, right? Um, so you want stock calls, you want Forex calls, you want any SPL token, you can get
Thor
that
will Thor will
here.
analyze it for you.
Yes.
Oh my god,
So
it's
I
like
kind
a
of right. I've just put in a couple just to kind of give some examples. I know like what we have BT Cat. I think that was one that was getting some hype recently. So what I did was I actually if
so
anyone's oh,
it can analyze any meme coin and using its kind of like past learn history, it will predict price action.
yes.
That's fucking insane, dude.
That is, we are all freaking out over here because yeah, it just came out. I want to say under a month, perhaps. I mean, we've had the stock calls, so I could write, you could write, Tesla, right? You could look up Tesla calls if you want. You get those for 48 hours. So this is, there's always the caveat, it's not necessarily for
Sure.
free for everyone, but we do have our uh, our native token, which is
Yep.
Kira, and so it charges a fee, got 40 cents on that, and that's kind of how it generates some funds there. But I think it's totally, worth it. I do it all the time. I think I put radium, and sometimes it tells you the beginning one, like the coin address gives its name, but sometimes you're just gonna have to, I think I put radium and popcat, I think just before our conversations here. Um, so yeah, so let's say like you got different time frames, right? And when you're looking at time frames, you have shorter term, like when you're looking at the chart, you got the 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, and 1 day. Some people, when they just start, they think, oh, this is only available for the next 15 minutes. Like, no, this is analyzing shorter term movements
Hmm.
on the chart. So smaller swing trades that are more likely to happen on a lower time frame. So those are cool. A lot of people really enjoy those. The 1 hour is nice, especially when I'm trying to hit some swings. Maybe I'm bored, and the price action is more generally gonna be close to hitting there sooner. It depends. Like, this is all just talk. But the 4 hour and 1 day, I could show you some calls that do have those. I think Sol has a 1 day call. But among a lot of the traders, the 4 hour and 1 day are the big ones, right? The 4 hour and 1 day are really the hitters, because it happens over a longer time frame, and the data that's pulled in through that, I think, as we all can tell, when you're looking at a more of a macro feed, I feel like they're just, I want to say more reliable, but more, I don't know, just more, they got more like girth. They just got some more
True.
uh backing to it. And so sometimes, depending on the market movement, these work pretty nice. Developing a call. So this is like say Popcat right now, and you want to kind of look into that. So I'll look up another one if you had a any suggestions too. I'll show you that process there as well. But right now we're at say $1.30, let's say $1.40 is what the price is currently. And Thor is suggesting, hey, there's a good buy zone at $1.28 to $1.25. This is pretty nice. Now, this is also where I'm going to start talking about maybe DLMMs.
Yeah.
So,
Bro, I have so many different ideas at how we could use these to like incorporate into DLMM strategy.
yes. It is crazy, right? So let's see if I can. I don't think it does it. I think in the other one you could show the TP lines, but you got to do a little drawing. So of course we got some movement down there. Cool. That's the buy zone, right? So
Is
we
that
have,
box being auto-generated or are you drawing
yes.
that in?
Oh,
Okay,
that that box is auto-generated. Yeah.
cool.
So that's an auto-generated box. Some of these I'm gonna make are gonna be obviously I'm going to draw them real quick. I think in the other ones, I don't know if it's in this UI, but you can also turn on the TP marks for the calls. Sometimes it could get a little crowded if there's multiple calls hanging out, so you'll get a bunch of TP lines mixed up. So I usually just turn that off and draw it myself. But you have a TP1, TP2, and TP3. So if it hits this box down here, Thor is suggesting that a good sell zone is going to be about, 143 to 153. And that's like a swing trade it sees on a lower time frame. And so if I go say meet you in the middle, I always like to be a little conservative and like, depends on my bag or my risk profile. I may try to hit that TP2 or maybe front run the TP1 a little bit, depending if,
Hmm.
if I'm doing a little more leverage, I'm probably trying to front run the TP1 a little bit just
Yep.
for ease of mind. That's just a personal thing, but um you don't really need to do that necessarily, but to kind of keep this conversation going with the DLMs, something that a lot of new users will look over is the importance of this like invalidation line, this invalid.
Hmm.
So if for this long the price goes above $1.68, this call is invalidated. Now, part of that is just to kind of keep the UI clean, but the big part of that is too is Thor on a lower time frame sees some strong resistance at, let's see if I can get this right. Um, yeah, using this is a little fun, but say like the purple line, I usually try to make the purple lines a bit more of the invalidation line. So you do have that TP if you were to hit that. Cool. That's where, you got your target prices. If we dip down there, that's where you're supposed to sell. Now, for say DLMMs, usually I like to have another short call and its invalidation line, which shows a heavy support. My favorites are generated from 4 hour and 1 day, and we could look into that with maybe some other calls from the coins that are like Solana, some higher market cap coins. Usually they tend to have more 4 hour and 1 days typically. So if let's just, for example, if we had a short call like at 160 and it had an invalidation line at, let's say 110, just for example. For me, when I see something like that, two invalidation lines is a heavy range. And so what I've been doing with DLMMs is been seeing, okay, so we got like $1.68 and 111, so a strong support and a strong resistance.
Hmm.
And generally, and if I'm in the middle, that's a great time for me to do those two-sided
Yep.
bins because I'm on either side. Now, sometimes it could be lower, right? We could be closer to the bottom. And if I wanted to, I could try and do that one-sided kind of DLMM and then kind of play off of that upward movement and back down and retesting. But really, on the lower time frame, it's kind of the winds of change. It tells me the direction it wants to go. So I think I have some more historical, say, data over here. Think, let's say Jupiter. No, what was it? Actually, here is perfect. A pretty good example. Just that Judo chart I had pulled up. This was a invalidation line for the lower box, green box long call here. And so what's interesting was it did have some bullish movement, but I just drew that line there because it said, hey, this is invalidation, strong resistance is there. And you can see how it interacts with that line. It meets some resistance, goes under, gets caught, but now it acts as a support. So now I could see there's support at 2.9. And what is pretty crazy is that you're just able to sit down and draw some lines and you get some crazy analysis. So you don't need to know anything about EMAs, RSI. You don't need to know about bull flags, all this other things. You just sit there, draw some lines on a chart, and you did some crazy technical analysis as someone who spent, 10, 15 minutes, and then times that by 35 looking for an optimal trade. You're spending a lot of time. Thor is meant to save you time. We always joke that, we got families, we got stuff to do. I don't want to be sitting around my computer all day. Well, this is how you do it. You can sit down for 10, 20 minutes, find an optimal trade, and then go for it. Now, yeah, so that I guess coming back to like picking SPL tokens, that's what's really nice too, is that you could have it's opened up so where we can look at, I don't know,
How long does a meme have to be alive for Thor to start having accurate calls on it?
I think I I don't know the exact time, but I do know the longer it's out, the better.
Sure.
It just has more data to recall on to and generate calls. But I'm pretty sure right out the get-go, you can set it up and Thor will start doing some calls. And usually on the 1 hour, it will do that because I'd say after 24 hours, you'll probably have a bit more data, but then it's able to analyze kind of some movements and see where things are because I don't know everything that's under the hood myself, but I do know it sees where liquidity's hanging out. It sees a lot of TA that it analyzes and then kind of spits out recommendations for you.
I'm I'm so ecstatic about implementing this in my DLMM strategy.
Yeah, it's
Be-
it's crazy. It's exciting, man. And so what I just did is I went over to say Bird Eye, picked this Geeko or whatever cat, and
Sure.
then CA. You place that coin address here, and then you could pick either 40 cents or 11 Kira. Ask Thor. Oh, it's gonna probably
And
ask me.
Kira's generated from staking your cyber frogs, right?
They stopped the emissions quite a bit ago for just legal reasons.
Hmm.
Just the staking stuff.
Classic.
So yeah, so they don't do that anymore, but that's kind of to emphasize that this is a total legal yeah, they got a lot of backing and whatnot for I'd say for legality purposes. So
Sure.
this is like the bigger pictures. I forgot which law firm, but they do have one that they've been working with
Let's
and
go.
making sure everything is, correct, doing
So
things the right way.
Kira's just like a legacy token now that some people still have.
I'd say yeah, people do have, I wouldn't say it's a legacy. I would say that there's a lot to be announced for Kira. I
Uh,
don't know a lot, but myself, it's a lot of under wraps, but this is the token that's going to be behind the scenes too. So I know a while ago it happened where if you bought, like I said, basically people don't want to see NFTs and all this stuff. But if you're having people buy, with USDC, it used to be, I don't think this is what goes on right now. I could be wrong. But what used to happen is if you interacted with USDC, it would end up buying Kira on the other side of things too. So you'd end up having a Kira buy when someone spends USDC. So behind the scenes, there's things that go on that kind of generate. I want to say people say it's a kind of coining it as an AI token, if you will, but there's going to be a lot to be announced with Kira in the future. But right now, a lot of people are just holding on to it because I think too it's really undervalued. Yeah. So let's see. Instead of do the ledger always falling asleep here. But let's go. So yeah, I just entered that coin address. Cool. I just paid some Kira. It's going to give me calls for, 48 hours. Sometimes you'll see, oh, it's not coming up. The refresh button wasn't working. So what I do a lot of times too, gotta do a hard refresh. Yeah, like I said, a lot of these things are going to be getting fixed with the UI, but go back to this guy and cool. So this is null. So sometimes I guess maybe they has trouble pulling data, or I think I've never asked this before. So Thor needs some time to generate and call on the data to give you something. And usually after 10 minutes, you'll see some calls. And what's cool is if there's no calls generated or there's no calls available at this time, you get refunded whatever you spent too.
Word.
So that's pretty nice. So you get your 40 cents or 11 cure back if you end up coming back to this and there's just no calls available. A lot of times I've figured with stocks too, you got to wait a second. So speaking of stocks, let's just take a look. Everyone knows about Tesla. So let's see if there's any data. And that's something that I think people have been activating too on a different side. And see, nope, I gotta do the thing again real quick. So that's for me, I like to add a lot of the calls first, like do all my requests and then kind of check back. So let's see Tesla. So like if you're into stocks at all, you'd get the same kind of calls that you would doing this. And I think it needs to update actually. Sometimes the data isn't needs to be refreshed a little bit too, just recalls on some things. But I think Tesla is up to 320, the 320s or even 330. I forgot where it ended at. But this is a short call that's getting called right now at 330 to 326, and then it has rebuy entries there. Now you can't necessarily not everyone short stocks. It's a little more difficult than crypto. So a lot of people will actually kind of buy back, like, so they know, okay, I might sell some Tesla here and then rebuy into these points down here.
Hmm.
So like, okay, I'm going to sell at 330, set my limit order. Cool, it hits. And then I kind of wait for that retrace back down. And then you can go and, of course, re-enter there. But this is crazy when you start thinking of it. It does indexes too, SPX. Yeah, so you name it. This is actually what Thor was mainly originated. This is what it was made for. And so the crypto is actually a newer thing for it, but it works really well all the same, which I really think is pretty badass.
What percent of calls do you find become invalidated?
Um, It depends on how the market's going, and I can't say for certain too, having all that data in front of me, what it gets invalidated. There's different ways of being invalid. One is just the price action. So this invalidation for Solana's 15-minute would have been invalidated if it went up. It's not to say it's a bad call. It just says we may be at the time we may have seen this call at 200, and then I realized, okay, this call is only good until like 203.59 until it breaks that kind of top little resistance there. And that just means, hey, there might be a better call waiting for you. So if you have a lot of limit orders there, maybe you could switch it up. This is different on the 1 day. For me, what I see a lot of times is this is where I should pull up the a little easier to draw lines on the. So I've had, yeah, so had some previous calls. Everything you see on the charts ends up happening from little sessions we've had before. And we had a previous short call at $202. And you could see that, well,
Very nice.
yeah, it was pretty nice. It only had like a deviated almost 2% away from that point. But you could see it kind of met resistance there, and I forget what the don't have the TPs on that, but I would assume that since there's a previous invalidation line that was like a 1 day or 4 hour, I would trust that we could see some support on like 170. There's a previous call for 144. Now this 1 day, sometimes they are pretty low, right? You're like, oh man, damn, that's a pretty lower call here. And I'm just gonna clean up some stuff that I had before. 148. We'll just, you know, get rid of that too. So if you're just looking at this going, all right, what's going on? Uh, you could see that it's just suggesting, hey, if we do not break like 228, we'll say. So Thor's saying, hey, there's some strong resistance at 205. If we don't break that over, long day, say day calls, or usually can take a couple weeks, maybe a month or so to play out.
Hmm.
But we've seen some crazy signals, even when Solana was dipping down, it got like a $14 call, right? Everyone was kind of laughing at it, like going, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And it happened. It took
Really?
a few weeks. And then the $14 call, that's when a lot of things were switching. I think there was an $8 call. And that's when I think when I was involved with it that I really, really took notice to that. And so what Thor was saying, because usually everyone's laughing at something and then it happens. 148 is something to say, hey, if you're trying to go in with a huge bag and you see this 1 day call, like I want to get involved with Solana. I want to be a part of it. Well, would you jump in now? I wouldn't tell someone to come in now. I would tell them, hey, maybe you can look into some other things. Sometimes there's some other calls, 188 even is a good example. Say, hey man, wait till 188. Or this 1 day call is like, man, I might just wait, and see if we can hit that 148. Maybe put some limit orders around the zone, maybe like 160, 155, and then kind of hitting right down there. And then it has some TPs that kind of come back up again too. So that's one way to look at Thor, and saying the invalidation lines is one thing. Now, I would think your question would be more pertained to when this hits and becomes an active call. Let's see if there's one kind of listed active. I think there was one. Nah. But it will tell you, instead of waiting, it'll say active there.
Hmm.
And then sometimes they disappear. There is an internal stop loss within Thor that kind of helps clean up the UI, or else we'd have too many calls just hanging out if it didn't clear itself. Now that's an internal one, and it's different for 15-minute and 1 day. But I'd say sometimes there are those, it invalidates itself after a certain amount of time. And this is something we always tell people, hey, it's up to your risk and your risk profile. Thor might cancel out a trade at 2% dip or 3%. I've seen it hang on to 1 day calls after 5% dip. So, and it recovers. So it depends. Sometimes these 1 days could be a little more coarse, whereas those 1 hours could be a little more, I want to say precise, but a little more sensitive to big movements. Let's see. And what's cool is if you did, you had a question about like, you're new and you wanted to see a good risk profile. So let's say I only wanted a risk, let's say, $50, right? You could calculate into TP1, you pick what your goal is. If you want to enter here and exit around TP2, you click that, and then Thor suggests to you kind of a spot buy call and where to put your stop loss into. And so you can see like a R&R of 1-to-1. You can have a buy and sell zone right through there. Let's see, and it has suggested stop losses for you. So you could put in if you only want to risk $50, if your trade loses, you can buy 1.69 Solana and have a stop loss at 117. If you wanted to kind of increase that risk reward like 1 to 2, it has a different stop loss there, and it has an elevated amount of SOL you should buy. And then once you hit this stop loss, you'll lose 50. But this helps people kind of generate their risk profile and kind of go from there. And you could do like you can put, oh, I want to risk 500. And it just is a good idea for you to kind of see how much you should be putting in and where you should exit if the trade is turning sour. Because that's the reality. Sometimes things in the market happen. It's not always pretty out there. So it all also offers you a good risk reward calculator there too, which is great. If you're just starting out, you don't have any idea about this stuff. Where should I put my stop loss? Everyone has different views on it, but this is a good suggestion. Now, you may have been noticing there is a kind of a beta thing going on right now. It's just starting up, but a DLMM button.
Yeah, I
It's
saw that. I saw that
yeah,
on your
it's
screen.
like what's going on there? So this is something I'm gonna have to just look at some little notes here.
Is
But
it gonna provide a price range that would be accurate to the element based on its predictions?
yeah, and here's a little bit about it. So like the DLM Thor order book, pairs the algorithmic signals and executes the trades in existing DLMMs to kind of ensure the execution price. It avoids the impacts of on-chain slippage, and you can isolate your trades into a lower fee DLMM.
So
Uh,
is Thor already using Meteora to enter and exit positions?
enter and exit. So that's as of now. I'm trying to see because I was trying to ask our good old pal Sile some questions about that before I
Yeah.
because I wanted to talk about it, but I wanted to see its limitations at the moment.
Well, one of the phenomenal things about DLMMing with meme coins is it allows you to enter and exit without having to have an impact on your price chart. And so
Oh yeah,
like I'm kind of like thinking about how like I could or anyone could use y'all's tool and pay that essentially completely insignificant fee of 40 cents to get calls on coins that you want to DLMM, and then just use that to predetermine your ranges or to help you make better decisions on choosing price ranges.
yeah,
Is that
yeah, and that's a big thing that's coming.
yeah,
It only
that's such an alpha move right there.
it
I
is
think it's
so big.
incredible.
It's so crazy big. We're all really excited, especially if anyone knows anything about DLMMs. This is something crazy. We're all really excited for it to be, figured out. But of course, this is in kind of the early beta phase right now, so
Sure.
it has limitations to what it can do, and a lot of it again is for safety. It doesn't delegate a lot of things right now. Let's see. I'm just trying to look at some notes I asked from Sile. So basically, it just creates you a range of, say, if you use a long call, you can go to Meteora. So it creates a bin range for you, and then you have to go and go to like the profile. So I would have to click here, go to profile, and then see the DLM that it set it up for me. And then there's a range that had been initiated, and I have to go fill that. So it creates a range for you. You have to go and pick your strategy and do all that stuff still at this moment. And a big thing too is I think he said if you select a zone which is more than 30 bins away, it just reports an error message saying bin not found because the price of creating the bin range is a little bit high, so they don't want people to accidentally like throw in like zero point 0.2 SOL to create bins outside of a
Yeah.
range right now. So there's that kind of parameter. I think said there's no dynamic selection or matching of liquidity pools right now. It just hard coded with 1% for Sol USDC. Later, we should be able to open this up to every pair as long as it's on Solana and let the user select the vault, as it should be pretty easy, possible to let user set up own custom ranges without need to have a Thor zone. Let's see, setting up ranges too far.
Are
Yeah,
you all
so
considering integrating automation into this? So, in the same way that your Thor bot is buying and selling on people's behalves, would you ever consider doing an automation suite that would
I
automatically open and close DLMMs based on calls?
I think that's a big thing that
Because
is the end goal because
that's going to be freaking sweet.
yeah, and that's something, that's something that I think we as the frogs, and I think that the team has even mentioned that if Meteor is interested, the to get more of a more of a solid partnership going on,
Yeah,
being able to kind of help each other out with certain things because I know like Sal's doing stuff from the outside, just using what he can from the outside, but I think to create more integration, I think a partnership would really expedite some of that process
I
because
agree.
at this point there's no delegation. So let's just say I already created one, but what did I do? I think it was on a certain
Honestly, these two communities seem like they're so synergistically aligned.
yeah,
From what you've told me, like the Cyberfrogs community is just about a bunch of Chads who like have this awesome tool, and essentially, I'm guessing the OGs have done very well for themselves now. So they're kind of like, come, young Padawan, let me show you the ways of Thor. And
exactly. Oh man.
one of my favorite things about Meteora is there's such a positive community of people who are just like happy to share and teach people. Um, and I would love to see more integrations between these two communities and more collaborations going on because it's like peanut butter and jelly, dude.
Oh, it
DLMMs and
is.
auto calls.
And I think we're starting to I was a big into that. I know plenty of other people in the community are too, and a lot more getting into it. But I was always into as soon as Meteor opened up and I saw all the stuff you guys are doing, I was like quickly moving over to this side of things. I was like, oh, I'm all in on Meteora. I love it. Especially the way you do the concentrated liquidity. It is
Yeah.
on point. So, so if I wanted to do this, I don't know if this number, in my experience, this is still beta, so I think it's more to come. I don't think this number really mattered when I put 100 or 10. I was just trying to test it with a $10 creates a bin range. And you obviously buy the bin range there is what the
So
fee
that
is.
that fee goes back to you when you close your position. You get
Yeah.
refunded that fee.
Yep. Yep. So if I were to go back here, so this is what I think was created. So let's just say I hit confirm, did all that. And this was the call I did. And then you go to portfolio because I was having trouble finding it. Like, okay, it created a bin range for me. Where is it? So I just clicked the portfolio, and that was a really cool button. I was looking over, but for this say wallet, try to keep it isolated to this stuff. But right.
And so this is going to set up your liquidity at essentially the price range that Thor is calling for a reversal.
Yes, and
Awesome.
so yeah, you could take with that your own strategy. And like I said, I think there'd be more buttons added onto this to maybe
Sure.
delegate some things like, oh, one-sided, what you want to do. But at this time, I think that's more to come. But so I did that, create DLM, boom, I hit that button and that little fee, but you could get that refunded. And that's why they're not doing 30 bins outside of the range right now, because it's obviously non-refundable to create new bin ranges.
Yep.
But 195.8, you can see it's around there. And still trying to figure some things out. But if you wanted the, I guess the autofill or whatnot
So
to
it's
do
going to create the bins for you, but you need to actually deposit your capital.
exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you're gonna still have to deposit your capital, go find the bin range and do all that there. Now, I don't know if kind of keeping up with Meteora, I don't know if it's you're able to kind of have a place where you can exit automatically, or is that still all manual, right?
With Meteora, it's manual. Do you know
Yeah.
about Hawkfi?
Yeah, I think yeah.
So they have automated take profit and stop loss integration. And that's like,
Oh,
bro, there's so many tools out
nice.
there in the crypto space that like because I have and I'm like such a HawkFi fanboy. They don't give me anything, but like their product is so sweet. I'll happily promote it all day long. I
Yeah.
have I have an LP on a meme coin. And I've been in that position for 2 weeks, and it's really cool because it'll show you the performance metrics relative to holding Soul and holding the meme coin. And my position, so I did like 5 Soul and 5 Soul worth of the meme coin. I did the auto compound and auto rebalance, and my position's up like 160%.
Oof.
And if I had just held the meme coin or held the pair, it'd be like plus 40%. And
Oh,
so like
right. That's crazy.
what and I'm sure that this is complicated. I'm not a developer, so I can't imagine how much effort it actually takes to make these things. But like when you could get a system with Thor that's like ranging in and out of coins with these Thor auto calls, and then you incorporate auto compounding into that, then
Yep.
that's gonna be so freaking insane.
Oof. If we could bridge
Um,
all those things together, it's
bro, it's a money.
revolutionary.
Yeah, it's like the fountain of youth.
Yeah, no doubt that it's absolutely crazy. And I think these are in the beginning stages, so I think it does select different bins. But yeah, no, I think what's to come is really great. So that's what we always joke about, like, hey, we don't mind, and that's a big thing about the Chads in the community. We like, oh, the maybe the NFT price could be higher, but a lot of us have this mantra of like, we want we almost want it to be a bit lower too, so it has
uh,
accessibility for other people that
yeah.
come in. So we thought about that and we're like, well, everyone, of course, we all want like 20 soul per NFT, but then how do how are you going to get new people to come in and experience what Thor has? And I think if the price ever, I think in the future there are said to be talks of ways that you could get access to Thor without owning NFTs. Again, this is how we integrate the normal TradeFi folks that aren't really into crypto.
So do you need an NFT in order to get access to the pay 40 cents to get calls on other coins?
Um, Ooh, a good question.
Because I feel like that is the easiest way to make your platform accessible to everyone. Just like figure out what a fair price for that is and then allow anyone to do it. And then if you want to essentially buy a subscription, so to speak, by owning an NFT, you can do that. Or if you just
Yep,
want to pay for your usage, you just pay a fair fee. And that's so reasonable.
yeah,
Um,
and I think that's some kind of like some kind of alpha or something like that there too. That probably, I think I don't know exactly. So I mean, just don't. This is just talks. Some of
it's okay.
the wins I get, but yeah, I think at some point there probably will be some kind of maybe subscription model,
Hmm.
something like that. And I think that's also how we integrate Kira into the system, into the mix. But that's another thing that's to be figured out. But you're right. I think a lot of people would be interested in that kind of model, and once this stuff is really built out to what they have in their minds of what it should be, I think that's when they'll start selling it out a bit more. Just because, right, you want your product to be finished, right? We want it to
Yeah.
be done, offer all everything it can be, instead of people running into little issues like maybe I run into just a lot of beta phases. But that's usually when you get into a project, right? Is kind of when a little early when we're still in beta for a lot of things. But I think Thor in the manual calls, those aren't beta. Those are
Yeah.
tried and true and been these have been solid. But like the integration of all these other things, I think that's something that we're really excited to see some growth and more news on.
It's
But
so it's
no.
so funny to me that you keep like referencing that y'all are like, oh man, like we just want our product to be better. It's like it's not good enough yet. I'm like, but you're talking about how I can, as like a complete like nobody, get free, like not free, but like accurate, accurate price calls on essentially every pair in the universe. Like that's really, really, really good already.
Is it, you get it, you get it, that's it is absolutely, yeah, insane of what's going on. And like, yeah, you just open up BTC, right? And then you go, okay, well, where's a good buy zone? I guess there's a 1 day call with was it the 7 invalidation at 77K around 77.2, saying that, hey, if we break through that resistance line, these are going to be invalidated, but definitely keep your eyes out. We could, as things, and like if it's the bull market, my favorite time is the high volatility, 20% down, 40% up in a day. That's when it gets really exciting. So I don't discount all of these guys. Um, just because sometimes people would look at that and go, yeah, right, that's not going to happen, and start to do it, and we get closer and closer and closer, and like, okay, these ranges are looking really nice, but maybe on a swing trade kind of a thing on a lower time frame, you could maybe make a play off of this. So like the 74.6 K zone, you got something hanging out right there and you're able to buy here and go up. And of course, I don't know, BTC doesn't have much, DLMs going on it. They do, but I don't think that's super big right now. Maybe with the Coinbase backed thing, we'll see some more action. But yeah, like you said, with the SPL tokens, being able to input anything you really like, yeah, just going here and saying, hey, you're into that BT cat maybe, and you have some good buy zones. So it's crazy, especially with meme coins, being able to see these ranges. So you got, I mean, a range up at 0.0096 to like the 002, 0023 zone right there. So like you're right in the middle, right? And then in this case too, I want to say that's a pretty fat bin range. So if you wanted to make some good plays off of that, it's good to be aware of it. But if I wanted a lower term or a more, near-sighted trade or a DLMM, I might try and make a bin from this invalidation line, the 2.7 perhaps. Let's make a line there. 2.7. Yeah, whatever, 2.71. And then we got this line right down here, maybe like in the middle there, perhaps. But then now, since for me, right, if I was looking at this is a fun DLMM range.
Yeah,
This could be something
yeah,
that's really cool to watch out for. One-sided, perhaps, maybe switching that up when you
yep,
get up a little bit more too. Switching your strategies as the market moves. Because if I'd assume after a pump like that, we're going to probably be more likely to hit this zone. More likely, who knows? But I would say from what Thor's saying, if I were to put USDC in and kind of have it a buy down in a
yep,
bid ask range, then that's something that's I'd be looking at, doing that. And then when we hit that zone, maybe you get an alert saying, hey, we hit there, time to go up. Like, I'm gonna start putting maybe then I'll put the BT cap in and let the range go up, do another one-sided, just add to that bin range later. But yeah, it's pretty wild. I'd say there's a lot of things here that for the, you know, just even the beginner user to advance, there's a lot of data here that will just put you on the winning side of things. And I'm still learning, myself how to integrate the DLMMs with Thor myself. Just been obviously practicing, seeing what works, what doesn't work.
yeah. We definitely need to have some more of these sessions and get some of like the top Thor users and the top DL members together and just brainstorm how to make more money using these tools because there's so much synergy with this. Um,
Yeah.
for me, like when I'm setting up a DLMM, like my kind of like bread and butter is using like the fib ranges, because like those are pretty consistent in terms of like showing at least like showing like bottoms. Like I think almost every meme coin that launches will like hit an all-time high and then break below the 786 and then have a second run as long as it's not a rug. But like having these calls from Thor will be really interesting. So like
Yeah.
as soon as we get off this call, I'm gonna get on because I have a cyber prog as well. I'm gonna get on and start
Oh, nice.
exploring more.
Oh, good, good. Let's see. Oh, got this top screen. But yeah, I think at this point too, if anyone is, we got some people in the chat. We do have some one frog tier giveaways to do as well. So I think just type in what is it, the Twitter chat that I want to try Thor, and we'll pick out some winners. You'll get the 1 month, or sorry, 3 months of one tier frog holding access. So it gives you a chance to try out Thor. You don't have to buy a frog, but you get access to all that. I think I need to follow up on that question too of you were asking if who has access to this.
Correct. Yeah.
I was gonna try and see if any, non-holder can have access to requesting these calls. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, we'll
Yeah, and
see.
let me know how we can get y'all better connected in terms of working to get some more like integrations going on with your platform and Meteora. Because
Yeah.
our founder Ben, I'm like I know that he's been working on getting a Telegram bot set up so people can use
Oh,
TG to set up DLMMs,
oh
but
my gosh.
I'm sure that he
Oh,
would
dude,
be stoked about
I
having some
forgot.
integrations. What?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So you reminded me of another thing that CyberFrogs offers with the Telegram.
Tell me, what does it do?
Yeah, okay. So I guess I don't really have it on my PC to open up, but let's
Can
see.
you
Let's see if I can
does
find
it
something.
just send calls to your TG or what?
Let's see if I can.
There's so many incredible like tech suites out there in the crypto space. Like I'm in a Discord right now and it's completely free and they just paid for a bunch of these like Telegram bots and
Yeah.
they give away free access to people and it's like it's that's like one of my favorite things about this space is that there's just like really intelligent, passionate devs out there who are like, hey, I'm bored. I'm going to build this tech suite to do data analytics or to do something that is going to add value to the space. And then they're like, fuck it, like I'll just give this away or I'll sell it for like with NFT access. And
Oh, nice.
that like mentality is like one of my favorite things about cryptocurrency in general.
So yeah, they got the T grade. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and there's a lot to that. And this is a little example, just to show you. This is kind of more of how to get into it, like this little thing, the boxes on the screen. But let's say once you get into this chat, as a holder, you can have access to it, and you basically would write. Let's see, some people are posting it up. Okay, yeah. So here's a good thing. Normally it'll tell you when we have two chats. One is telling you, hey, you know, Thor is about to hit a certain zone. So you'll get alerted on Telegram
Hmm.
when like it's gonna be close to a range. So that's an alert like, hey, there's a rune call, injection, avalanche, sand. You got all these all the coins that are close to a zone, you'll be alerted on. A lot of 15 minutes you see here, but I really get excited when I see like a 4 hour, 1 day
Hmm.
getting close. That's when I really start, loading it up. What do you do next? So, okay, say you do have like more access. You can only do this if you have access to said call, like
Hmm.
on manual Thor. But right here is someone saying like gib dot 4 hour, and then on Telegram it'll show you the price it is currently and the short entry, and then it's TPs. And here's like Gib Solana. You type in Gib Solana 15 minute, and you want to check out all the 15-minute calls that it has for longs. So you're able to kind of look at it there and have access to that really quickly. You don't have to like load up Thor on your PC or something like that or your phone. You could really quickly do that and utilize it with any kind of exchanges that you're looking for. So that's what's pretty crazy. So I think there could be some fun DLMM range stuff going on there too.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how that would work, but this is really cool. This is another way that they just made it a little ease of use. So hey, you want to check for calls? Just open up Telegram, say Gib like Soul. You don't have to put the time frame, and then it'll give you all the the calls that are waiting. And then you could write in like if there's a 1 day call or a 15 minute, like this guy was looking at, you say Gibbs Sol 15 minute, and then it gives you a more detailed list of that. So that's really cool too.
Yeah, y'all are doing some great stuff.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild. So I think they were excited at the idea that, I think we are so cohesive with what we're doing that a partnership or some kind of way to kind of integrate these things into each other will definitely take both projects to another level, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna when we get off this call, I'm gonna send Ben, the founder, a DM and see if I can't set up a call for you guys because
Yeah.
he's like really receptive to things like this, and obviously the value add is there, so I'm pretty sure we can make something work.
Yeah, because I'm sure once they figure out some things but under the hood, it might expedite some of the processes that we are looking, because Sal's a G, but at the same time, if you're doing things just from the outside, you might have a little more, not gonna say red tape, but a little more,
Yeah, I feel you.
more. Yeah, I think that might help with the delegation aspect of it too, which would make a little ease of use, but of course he's all about safety. So which I respect. So it's always like, no, want to keep your money safe, and that's something I think we all appreciate on Cyberfrogs. Another thing I could quickly show you too is Thor Pro. And this is, I think, Well Access has it, I believe. But no, it wants me to log in again.
What's
Okay.
the difference between Thor and Thor Pro?
Well, so Thor Pro is just a different way of looking at some stuff. You got the
Oh
little
wow.
the little heat map there, so you can kind of see what quickly see what's making some moves, what's dipping, and a lot of times I like to see, okay, Jupe is up point like, or 6%. We got some guys are down a little bit more, so you can kind of see what's moving and being a little more volatile. So I'll kind of take a look at all that. Um, Oops, didn't want to hit that button. Yes. Anyways, so the difference is when you're looking at Thor and not Thor Pro, you're um looking at, oh, sorry. Let's see. I think sorry, before I get into that, I think Andy was answering some questions. Let's see. Uh, can anyone access the SPL requests for Thor or only like frog holders? So yes, anyone can access this. It's just cheaper if you're in a higher tier. So if you're
Oh,
not if you're not a member, like if you're not a holder, it looks like it's $2 to start, and then down to free for gigawells and up. And yeah, Andy wants to say that frogs fuck, of course. Um, so yeah, any shit coin, any stock call, that's gonna be uh, he's kind of chiming in over there saying like new ones, any SPL token, so it could be even brand new, and you're gonna get some calls, but you're also refunded if there's no calls.
can you ask him what time frame? Because like I think it would be sick to use this for like I really like LPing new coins that are like 4 to 12 hours old. Can you ask him if Thor is going to be able to be accurate in making predictions then, or does it need more time and data to be really get some accuracy going?
Yeah, I don't know if yeah, let's see. You're gonna need a little bit of, yeah, he's saying you're gonna need a little bit of existing data.
Hmm.
It says, yeah. So if you did a new one, that's kind of what I was saying too. You can do um something new. You can do something that's like 12, maybe under 24 hours old. The calls you'll get maybe 15 to 1 hour calls perhaps, but yeah, so they have a better hit rate with the more data that's given. So you
Sure.
can start there, but the data that it's using probably isn't as solid as something that would be has more data that it can, gather from. Because you know how sometimes the meme coins start out some guys could be holding a lot. I don't know, like the sniper bots and all those kind of things. It's hard to
Yeah.
see, hard to predict all of that. That's something you got to look out for. But past that, as time goes on, you'll start getting better 15-minute and 1 hour signals. But it is available to brand new things. So I'm gonna have to really look into that myself on like a brand new coin that's under 24 hours old. I've used it for things that are like under a week old, but not something that's just fresh. Because yeah,
So
when it pumps and dumps super high, Thor has to kind of rebalance itself and then analyze that data. So if it pumps like 300%, you're not going to have any calls at that moment generally. Maybe some lower time frames, but that makes sense.
So after we take a look at Thor Pro, I'd love to put a couple of tickers in there. And
Yeah.
we have some soul allocated, and I want to see if we can't get some calls put together for some memes. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. We can definitely look into that. Yeah, it'll be fun. See what's good, the optimal trade, if you will, seeing if it makes sense or if something's, I could give some discretion to be like, hey, that might that might be not the best, but hey, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's the whole point of this is to shed some light into what's going on. So yeah, Thor Pro. You kind of saw me before going through the regular Thor here. I don't know what he's a transaction there, but oh, and Andy says Thor makes your dick bigger by 1.5 inches. Wants me to let
Let's
everyone
go.
know that. But yes, and then
Obviously, no one from Meteora has an issue with that, but
yeah, yeah.
for
Oh,
regular people out there, that's pretty solid.
yeah, exactly. So the difference is like if you look at Pyth, so if I use regular Thor, right, I just have to go through each one of these guys and kind of scan for good trades. Here's that Soul BTC one I was talking about too. You got some calls right through there. When like so short would be me taking my Solana and then buying BTC with it. And then at some TPs, you could switch back to Solana. And it's all just to get you a higher Sol or BTC bag. Cool. But continuing on, you see lots of little fun things in here. But if you were just scanning around looking for trades, I usually end up doing this because I have certain coins I'm looking at. Like maybe I'm trading a lot of Jito, Jupe, Bonk, Solana. I'm focused on certain ones. Cool. That's where Thor. I usually use this because it's just consolidated and it has that nice little graph there. Now, when you go back to
Will
Thor
Pro
Pro,
aggregate all of the
yeah,
calls?
exactly.
Nice.
And then you could kind of organize that nicely too. So maybe I'm only interested in ranges like so entry and exits that are minimum gonna make me 5%.
Hmm.
So I got a minimum 5%, and I'm maybe not interested in shorting at all. And I only wanted 1 day calls or 4 hour 1 day because they're more just like I said, they have more backing to them. They're usually more reliable in my eyes and for fatter trades. So that's something I might put more capital into is the 4 hour and 1 day. Whereas I'm using probably a bit less on the 15-minute, 1 hour swing trades where maybe I'm getting bored and I want to catch some swings, use a little leverage, play around a little bit. Cool. That's usually where I do that. But for the 4 hour and 1 day, because sometimes they take a long time to get out, I don't want margin fees eating away at my stuff because it could take like a week perhaps to get to the TP. I think sometimes I just like to do a larger capital buy into the 4 hour and 1 days. So, anyways, so I want to long it and 4 hour 1 days. So now it aggregates all of the calls that um, fit those parameters. And maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want eight. I only want the 8% minimum. Cool. So here it says render, uh, and it tells you the date that the call was made. So we had a call made today that Thor generated. Its range is from entry to TP. From the first TP is a 9% trade to 14% range. And then from there, it has an invalidation line too, where it says, hey, if it gets above $5.25, this call will be taken out. But that just, again, I like invalidations because they show resistance. It's a huge indicator of uh, maybe the top, like a top zone for that. And if it does surpass that, then well, I think we're going to be in like a higher movement up too. Because if that becomes the resistance becomes support, you know that that kind of indicates a little something a lot of times. But so here you got your TP1, you know, you enter at $2, this range right here, maybe $4.23, and then you can set up a TP there. So a lot of times you could buy in and then set your kind of a limit sells there too. And then you kind of just scroll around, you can see there's another call for render, but it's a little bit lower. So when I see things like that, I sometimes try to get between those ranges and maybe DCA in. Maybe I buy a bit in the middle of this, and then I have like 30% entry here with the capital I want to use, and then maybe 60% down here. Not
You
all the
could use
time.
it. You could use a DLMM to acquire coins over the range with the
Yo,
fees in the process.
damn right, dude. That's exactly it. Yeah, you could make that range once you start hitting there, and then yeah, open that, crack that open, and try to hit those in between there too. That's totally true, which is
One
great.
thing, one thing that I've really been enjoying recently is using DLMMs just as ways to essentially price cost average into coins.
Yeah,
And so like if I want to buy a coin, then like one of the challenges with DLMMs is a lot of times we're setting up positions looking to catch a retrace, but
yeah,
then a meme can like easily do minus 60 or minus 70% in like 6 hours. And if you're doing that with a coin that you don't actually want exposure to, the emotional toll is so high that I know myself and others have sometimes will close positions early because we're like, oh shit, this is gonna dump to nothing.
yeah.
But when you're doing it with a coin that like number one, like you have conviction on, or number two, you have a call like this that's like gonna give you some kind of like conviction or increased confidence in holding as price goes down, then I think like that's like a really great way to use the DLMMs.
That's pretty incredible. And I guess to that point, when you're saying, okay, they got a meme that's going to drop 60%, are there, let's see, are there kind of ways, like what kind of bin range would you suggest for something like that?
I
Because,
love I love the 250 bin step pools because
okay,
you can do one position and you can cover like minus 70% if you're just doing one sided. That's like such
okay,
like that's like such an insane like thing if you're like not like deep in the meme space because you're like what you want a coin to go down 70%. But like if you bid ask across a big range like that and you get high volume and high volatility, you can be at like minus 50% and you can be at like break even. And so when you get that downward movement, you're essentially just accumulating your position and getting fees along the way. And then if you get like a pump up, even if it's only like 30 or 40%, you're usually going to be in profit if you've chosen your bin step right and you're doing high fee generation.
okay, nice. That's good to know. So I guess you guys put this in now too. So that's actually cool. It probably answers my question. So I'm just kind of put in a quick the BT CAGs just on my head with a little meme coin that's been going on lately. But um so this bin range of 200,
Mm-hmm.
the bin step, yeah.
What pools are available for
What
a
pool?
BT Cat USDC?
Not too sure. It looks like
Just that one.
yeah, just these three it looks like at the moment. So not too many where there's more in the even a 400. Okay, so there's a 200 bin step there.
Yeah, so you always want to like I think in most cases for meme coins, you always want to do at least a 2% pool. Um, with your blue chip tokens, because there's so much liquidity already, you have to do lower fee in order to be competitive. But
Exactly.
with the volatility on memes, and if you do a 1% versus a 2%, you're sacrificing 50% of your potential fee generation. And so the 2% is usually like the lowest fee percent that I want for a meme coin.
That's good to know because these little things I've been just testing out myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed that when I try to undercut too much, you know, maybe I'm not making as much as I could have versus the risk of, you know, entering some of these pools. But yeah, so it looks like the 2% and 250. So I did find one we're kind of discussing. Like this is the BT Cat Soul pair. So if I look down here, this is something I guess was added pretty recently, I think. So this kind of tells me, hey, if I enter here, I'll capture if I did like the bid ask, whatever.
Hmm.
I'll capture the minus 57% move and then 131% move.
Correct. Yeah.
That okay, great. That's good to know. Yeah, because before I was trying to do the math and
Yeah.
sometimes the math wasn't mathing, but I was like, yeah,
And you can also change that completely. So if you wanted to only do an upside position, you could remove all the bins on the bottom end, and the same is true for the opposite.
yeah. Like let's see, what's just there? Let's see.
Hit the refresh button on right above. Yeah, right there. It'll reset it. If you go to more than 69 bins, for some reason the GUI removes the slider. Or actually do the reset price. It's on the left-hand side below
Ah,
a little bit
yes.
further down.
Ah, yes, there it is. So that's what I've done this before too.
Yeah.
Was that I did the slider up here, and oh, it used to let me do it. Oh no, I get it. But then
Yeah,
I
just
I
like
would change this like, and then so then I kind of make more bins, right? Or not more
yeah,
bins, but yeah, increase that range until I try to hit maybe the 69 I know is the top. So you can really, I guess, push this out a bit if you want
yeah.
to. Yeah. Okay. So
So
I
there's a
yeah.
lot of flexibility in price, depending on how you want to set up your position.
So I think that's something a lot of people are kind of like looking over. So wow. So yeah, I see what you're saying. So like so if I wanted to capture maybe some upward movement that was going on, obviously it looks like I'm creating some new bins there, which you could always probably just slide down if you didn't want to, right? So
Yep.
if I didn't want to spend the point two to create new ones. Slide it down there, and I'll capture a 235% move up and down. Woof. Okay, no, that's really cool. Yeah, I forget. It's good to see that. I really appreciate that addition of the percent because before it was really difficult. But actually, this is
Yeah.
gonna really help with making some DLMs for these. And I think another thing for me too is like for these larger tokens, like Soul or maybe Render sometimes too, for example, or Bonk. It's finding like, okay, if I wanted to do this with Thor, I don't know what I know meme coins, these 2%, 250 bin step, that's cool. But what would you kind of recommend if someone using Thor wanted to kind of enter some of those larger market cap coins?
Yeah. So usually for the bigger ones, you need to be at like 0.2% fee because you'll have Orca and Radium who are most of their
Yeah.
fees are I think 0.25. And so they're going to scalp a lot of volume away from you if you're in a higher one. Um, if you're in a really highly volatile time period, you can do a higher fee range because as price fluctuates, you'll start getting arb trades. And so your positions, essentially the price will lag behind because
Yeah.
on like a 1-to-1 trade, no one's going to buy it. But when price moves up 1 to 2%, then your liquidity is now like the most effective or the most affordable place. But like I've done, I remembered I did like a 125 bin step 0.25% pool, and that was doing really, really well. And it was on like a more established meme coin where you just had more liquidity already. So you have to be more competitive.
Nice. Yeah, that's something that's good to know too. Like, being the 0.2% and doing all that. That's probably something that's I'll be watching out for. And then the bin range is obviously up to our discretion based off of the ranges that are given. I'm trying to think of the kind of a good bin step for something like that too, like like a point two fee, but I guess I'm just trying to think of like sometimes I realized my bin step was maybe too large.
Yeah.
I think what was it? I did this one, which what was I doing? I was testing it out a little bit, but I think I messed up. This is just a test. I was just testing out like I don't think. Oh, yeah, I put like 40K. Was it Kira and like say 100? It was like a $1,200 just in capital, just trying to see some of the moves. So I perhaps maybe undercut things a little too much. on something like that, and the bin step could have been maybe lower, I think,
Yeah,
because
so
yeah,
if you are not, so the only time you want a big bin step is if you're expecting large price fluctuation. And then in my experience, just for convenience, I like to have one position. And so I want to choose the bin step that allows me to cover my entire expected range with just one position. But
nice.
then when you're in a less volatile token, you want the smallest bin step possible, because the more bins that a trade requires to complete, that will increase your dynamic fee. So if you have a 100 bin step, that's 1% per bin. And let's say someone does like a big buy and it pushes price up 5%, that moving through those 5 bins at once, that's going to increase that dynamic fee like 2 to 3x
Yeah,
relative to if you had that just in one bin and they bought it from one bin.
yeah. And then of course when say like I'm trying to slowly add more liquidity to uh because I'm pretty bullish on say Kira, our
Hmm.
little AI coin there. It's it's got a little lower TVL, but I have like a some dynamic pool set up just for the full range. But when I set something up like that for say I want to like add a little more to Kira and kind of feeling like we're gonna recapture some of that uh rebound a bit too into that once things are announced. Um, let's see. I would when I'm setting up I don't know if I've done this recently, but if I wanted to kind of create a new pool, yeah, kind of looking at these ranges, I guess I don't really know. Maybe okay, I wanted a certain percent, and then your bin ranges. I don't know how much percent that range will give me upon
Hmm.
creating one. So I wanted to create maybe some like Jupe, Kira, pools or something like that. I don't know if I guess we should say USDC, make it more simple, but what what would be the expected like ranges of creating something like that? 100,
So
200,
100 bins is equal to 1%. So 100 bin step would be 1% per bin, 250 is 2.5% per bin, and so on and so forth. And so with the essentially it's 35 bins on either side. It's like 34. But with the 100 bin step, you can do plus or minus 35%. The 250 bin step would be plus or minus like 85%. And it's more on the upside because like the just the way math works. It'll
yeah.
be like it'd be a minus 85% from whatever the top would be. But the easiest way to think of it is like 100 bins is 1% per bin.
So I see. So because obviously we're making that in the middle of the range, so that's why the 35%, yeah, would make 35% up and down. I guess that would be like the 70%, but that's just how the math kind of works out. So if 100, like, yeah, sorry about my learning here, but the just
No, it's
trying to
good
get
questions.
clarity, like the 100 bins is about 1% per bin. So
Yep.
that's, you'd say 100% ranging, but obviously you're in the middle. So it's not necessarily 50% up and 50%
No,
down.
it's because your singular position is capped at 69 bins.
Okay.
And so each of those bins is equivalent to 1%. So
Okay. I see.
yeah, and so you'd
So,
have like it'd be minus 35% on the bottom. And then because I don't know how to explain the math properly,
it's all
but
good.
like when the price is increasing, that 1%, like from 1% to 2%, it's 1% plus 1% of the last 1%. So it's like 2.01% and then 3.02% and 4.03%. And so your numerical value will be more than 35% on the upside, but it's still the equivalent of a 35% change. If you're thinking of the top price down to where your entry is.
Oh, I see. That's pretty neat. And then so because you have 69 bins that you can create when you make a pool, and then
Mm-hmm.
that 80, so then that makes sense with the 100 bin step, but then the 250 bin step is where it kind of gets a little interesting with the math, I think.
What
So,
what questions do you have?
hmm, trying to just see if I follow. So the 100 is obviously that kind of 100. like percent thing, and that the 250 bin, I want to say a 250. Oh, I see. So it's just more of the spaces between the bins are elongated. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I
with
get it.
the
Yeah.
with the 250 bin step, the difference between one bin and another is 2.5% per bin.
Okay, that's starting to make sense.
Yeah. So the bin step, imagine like the bin step is like how wide each little bin is.
Yeah.
And so 100, 1%, 250, 2.5%, and etc.
Nice. And then when you go down to 50 bin step, it's about the 0.5% difference between bins.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ah, beautiful. No, that
Yeah.
that opens the eyes to at least creating bins and getting involved with it. Because yeah,
Yeah.
it's I get the steps, but I never understood the differentials between the bins, like
Mm,
what that means. But that definitely, oof, yeah, that opens
good.
some doors right there.
Yeah, and I think like the general rule of thumb is again like you want to have the smallest bin step possible that allows you to accommodate your entire range in one position. Or sometimes what I'll do if I have a pool that's already created but it's not like perfect, what I'll do is I'll do one position for my lower end range and one position for my upper end range.
Yeah.
And that keeps everything really simple, but then you still want to have the smallest bins possible because what you really want is big trades coming in and going in and out of that range to increase your dynamic fee.
I see. So you're saying that you would do it with a like
Yeah, this is a perfect example because you can see the 80 bin step 0.15%. You're getting essentially 400% more in fees compared to the 5 bin step 0.04%.
yeah.
But if you look at the volume that's going through those, so that second pool has, we'll call it 1 million TVL for simplicity's sake. So
Yeah.
it's 20% of the TVL, but twice as much volume
Nice.
because number one is the bin step is smaller, so it's accommodating smaller trades, but then also the fee is so much lower. And so almost always that pool is going to be prioritized because it's going to be the cheapest place for you to swap. Um,
Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably yeah, especially with the more larger TVLs, you'd be getting a lot of that smaller trades within until you get some more volatile moves. And so when you're saying you're gonna make two, you would make two like on either side. Would that be
yeah,
within this? Yeah.
go ahead and click on that, the 5%, and then go to your add position. And so since this is, scroll down just a smidge so we can see the percentages. And so since this is a really small bin step, we can only accommodate like essentially it's like plus or minus 2%. But
Yeah.
let's say you wanted to go a little bit wider, what you could do is bring one of your little circle ball things to the center.
Yeah.
And then you could do this first position where if you click on the minus 1.69, you can just type in -3, and that will create the range that you want for that price range. And so you could now get essentially double your effective range um,
Mm. If
just
I
by
think
using
there's okay.
two positions this way.
Nice. That's what I was. That's kind of what I've been testing out myself. Was before we had the percentage thing. This makes it a lot easier. But
Yeah,
I would do a single sided like soul bin right there, and then maybe do another side. Just make a position here, and then I make another position inverse. Let's so it pops up here. Uh, and then on the inverse side, I make that
yep,
soul position. Then I drive it up right through here. So okay, 3%, and then knocks it up right through there too. So
exactly.
then now it accommodates like a 6%. I mean, total, but not 3% on either side. Okay, that's really good too. Opens up some ideas now that I understand how that works a bit more. I think that's gonna be something great, and definitely gonna share that knowledge with some other people in the little
Yeah, of course.
frog community for sure. Yeah, it kind of it was hard because it was almost like shooting in the dark sometimes. Like I
Y'all
understand
should
the ranges, but
y'all should come to our LP jam. So we do an event every Monday where we just get together and DLMM live. So
oh yeah.
yeah, I'm sure y'all would learn a bunch, and also it'd be great because I really want to get more synergy going on between our groups because it seems like we're both working towards the same thing. helping people make more money in crypto.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. 100%. That's dope. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, let's see if people are yeah, let's see. Try to figure out how to give away some of those store accesses too while we're at it.
Yeah, guys,
But
they're giving you free money. It's essentially free money they're trying to give away.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. I know. I think there's some. Yeah. Try to.
If we don't get enough entries today, I'll do a shout out during our jam on Monday and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
have more people say
I think.
essentially apply it for access.
Yeah, I think that'll be good if we gotta maybe pick a few people in here,
So
but then give away some more. But yeah, let's talk
I
about
would
what we
love
want to do.
I would love to have you ask Thor about some meme coins and then we can
Yeah,
set
let's
up a
do
couple
it.
positions. There's one coin that I've been watching recently. It's a Zero Bro. It's an AI coin, and it's got a freaking insane chart. It's like up only for the last week, and so I'd love to hear what Thor thinks about yeah, what kind of like calls it pulls up.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it.
Oh, it's Zere, bro.
Oh, did I spell it right? Oh, geez, like I said, just spell it right. What the hell? There we go. Zero. Okay, we got a few. Obviously, it's the
Here, I'll put the CA in chat so you can just
yeah,
copy it.
yeah. Let's do that. Just so. All right, so we just take that here. Let's see what's going on. Let's follow it. There you go. Yeah. Oh, Zere. Yeah, I see what I did wrong. All right, so it's up only. It looks
Yeah, it's
pretty.
freaking insane chart.
Do that. Make sure. I think sometimes the VPN is messing with the.
And then once we get Thor's input, I'll kind of like explain my thought process for DLMMing and we can put a position together.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully we get some. Oh,
I'm secretly hoping that people sell this coin so I can buy it at a better price.
yeah. That looks. Yeah, we'll see what happens. This chart's a really good example of. I'm curious if we'll have any signals for that, just because of the straight up,
Mm,
pumping.
sure.
But we got that. We can. I guess
I
we'll
have a
start.
couple others that we could look at too.
Yeah, yeah. Just drop in the chat, and then I'll just at least load them all up, and so we could have them loading and.
There's a really good guy on CT named Melometrics, and he does a post once a day with essentially a recap of memes from the past day. And one thing that I've been doing is I've just been looking at his posts every day and then trying to find good entries on those coins the next day after everyone sells them. And it's like, it's been a pretty solid strategy for me so far.
Nice. That does sound lucrative.
So Herky, the LP jams are in Zoom, just like this. If you want to get access, we usually everything gets restreamed on Twitter and on YouTube. But if you go in the Meteora Discord, you'll see in our announcement sections that all of the links are there. And so it's every Monday at 3:30 p.m. UTC. So essentially the same time that this was supposed to start, but didn't actually start at the right time because I forgot we were doing it this morning. I thought we were doing it at 3:30 p.m. my time this afternoon.
Oh,
So I was like, yeah, I have this wonderful like slow morning to do whatever I want. And I come back and my Discord was getting blown up with notifications.
it's like yo yo yo. I was like, oh crap. Let's see.
Yeah.
Hmm. See if it. Trying to see which ones we got popping up there. I guess they're so new that they still got there.
So is Thor like running its algorithm to analyze this chart and then trying to make predictions off that?
Yeah. It's
That's
I
so
guess
cool.
more than the chart, it's just reaching into any the trenches of where all the exchanges and all this data is getting pulled from. Anything that's public data is um getting used for this.
So there are multiple variables in
Oh
other than
yeah.
just price action. Oh my God, I'm so
Yeah.
curious now. I'm
It's
sure you
it
can't say like everything, but I'm so curious.
I don't know everything. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's such a black box. No one really knows, but there's a lot that's going on. Um I'm curious why these things weren't matching up sometimes. Coin address would be like 9p. Not seeing it. I guess something pumped. That was a null. Nothing was popping up there. 4K, but I'm not seeing the 4K. There's a pump right there. There's a pump right there, but that was the other one. Let's see. That wasn't that guy. Let's see. Another one, two. That one didn't pull up anything. Let's see.
And if we're not getting signals on these memes, we can also just use some of the alts that you're already getting signals on, and we can just set up a position based on that.
Yeah, let's see. Just wasn't seeing some of those pop up. I'm just gonna request it again. It's fine. I think we did have what's that? Yeah, with the 60, it's already up there. So nine.
It looks like it's showing an entry there on your chart.
Yeah, the BT cat. I was just gonna refresh this one
BT
more
cat.
time, see if
We can LP BT cat too.
true. Yeah, they got something there, so that's something we can.
I've been seeing that one on my timeline for a little while now.
Yeah, seems like it's
What
something
is
that
what's the deal with BT cat? Do you know anything about it?
I really don't know. I know I was around. Oh no,
Are
I was
you into
actually. Oh,
Go ahead.
oh no, I was away on a little business trip while everyone was shouting that coin out and looked like it went crazy. Definitely regret missing out on that one. 9p. He's getting some nulls, so I think either should be enough time, but for something to pull up, but maybe it's not able to gather some of that data just there. But no, but there's less nulls now, so it's gonna
I'm
keep.
also curious if like meme coins are so like because people often say, yeah, Ishak, I'm gonna mute you because someone's chatting. But meme coins, like people traditionally say that you can't use TA on meme coins, and so maybe that's why Thor is less able to, to pull stuff up.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, just because the price action is pretty wild sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little difficult. And obviously reading these once I start getting a bunch of stuff in too, I'm like, which one is this? A three pep. We didn't ask for that, but 2.6. What's sitting at 2.6 right now? Oh, that was the the Geeko cat. You know what? I think because there was nothing for this earlier. It does take that's a good point. If Thor's never even called it or never even gathered data for it, it takes like 10 minutes
Hmm.
for it to gather some information about it. So now that they're here, we can kind of reset and check back again too. But yeah, it looks like
Let's try BTC cat or
yeah,
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 big cat
yeah.
since you already got that one pulled up.
That one seems to yeah. While we could check back on the other ones a bit later too. So let's see. The 4 hour ranges are pretty wide. So that'd be a I'd say maybe a difficult um idea, but let's see if we did hmm, just you get a 50%, saying like maybe a 50 to 60% dip there to a 60 to 70% upswing is the short call, and the long calls kind of ranges. So you got like a 60-60. Let's see the 1 hours. Looks like the 1 hour. Look at that. Oh my God. Looks like it. So the 1 hours, these happen a little quicker, like we were discussing earlier. So this may have popped up. Yeah, may have just popped up recently, but looks like it hit the zone and then it's almost TP'd on this call. So that's something that like sometimes with these coins, man, it happens really quick. So if
Yeah.
you're there kind of scanning it, like you already kind of it called for that box range for a long in the buy zone, definitely hit into that buy zone, and now it's onward to the thing. So these 15 minutes happen quick, which is saying they're great for swing trades. But it depends on the range you want to create for some of these. I think let's see, this 15-minute is interesting. It has a 7 point, so it has a high invalidation, like 7 point. Actually, this is interesting. 7.6. Say 4, whatever, we'll put it there. So in this range, would have about 30% till it hits the what I'd say the resistance zone for this 15-minute, and then a 30% dip mark there too. That'd be interesting. It depends on, I guess in this case, it's in the middle. I'm trying to see if there's anything. Yeah, a lot of these calls seem to be you're in the middle of the area right now. So I'm trying to see where I would maybe create. Interesting. So I'm just kind of looking back and sorry, going back and forth on you guys, but
It's okay.
what I like to do too is like say 1 hour, I see this 27 and 25. And then I go to 4 hour and I see 23, 21, 29, and 25. So there's some confluence between this longer call and this 1 hour call right down here. It was made 2 days ago. And see, 2 days ago, it could, sometimes maybe it's already invalidated. So sometimes the only thing with using these guys is BTCat. Sometimes it takes a second to refresh everything too, but maybe this call has been invalidated because it's already been past the 6 mark. If I looked at when the call was made on the 7th, and it looks like it passed that invalidation line up to 7 and went down. So it could still mean something if it's still hanging out, but let's see. The 7 right there. And this was made on the 5th. So it definitely passed the 7 a little bit. 5th. It could have retested that right around there too. So I think I'd be more looking at these calls right through here. So even that 25. So if I was looking at this, I guess my indication would be maybe trying to set up a one-sided, like you were saying, bid ask right down to the 0.025. And then it's saying there's a retrace of 4.6, 5.1, and like 5.6. So theoretically, it's saying what's going on is it's saying it should go down there and then kind of retrace up to where this zone is, or maybe just a little lower. If we're being conservative, it could think of kind of a little price action going down and then jumping up a bit there too, if you weren't super bullish on it. But that's an idea there, is what I would read that as, is that there's a long call. It's a 4 hour, so I kind of think that it takes a bit longer for it to play out. I mean, it's a meme coin, so it could take just a couple hours, but you know, it just depends.
Yeah, I'm gonna share a screen real quick, and I want to set up a position on that because I think that's really awesome how we
Yeah.
can use
Yeah, I think
Thor to.
yeah, it just depends on what your parameters are you're looking for too. Because if you did a tighter bin situation, I'd probably be using like the 1 hour and 15 minute, but those are I'll probably, I'm always worried about doing that for meme coins too, because I'll be entering a zone, then it's out in like a second.
No, I think this is perfect. Like this is like essentially this is like one of the LPs that I really like to do. Um,
Nice. So let's see if I should stop sharing if you're sharing your screen.
it should
Oh,
just swap it over when I grab screen
oh,
share.
nice, nice.
So I got I'll go back to show you what pools we have available. Um, it's essentially only these three, I'm guessing. Yeah, because nothing else has any TVL. Um, I like the 252% here because that'll give us the range that we want. Um, and then what was the bottom? You said it was 2.5 is the bottom end.
Yeah, and I know you're doing the soul. It's kind of a soul pair there,
Uh,
but
can you give me the pricing in Sol instead of USDC? I always do everything in Sol versus USDC.
okay. Let's see the pricing.
So I'm gonna guess, and then you can tell me if I'm close to what Thor is thinking. This is
Let's
where
see.
I'd put our bottom in.
Let me see. That reads. I usually when I do it like this, sometimes I read like the percentages too. That percentage gap. 5-1, 5-1. It's about like 55%
From
from,
current price.
yeah, current price.
Word.
So that I'd say that you're pretty good,
I
probably
was
around
off.
there.
I was off by 4.2%.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I would probably do is put my position, my liquidity going down to here. And so I always like going a little bit below my price targets, because that gives me some cushion in case price goes past. And then it's just like we're just being less efficient in allocating our capital
Yeah.
if we don't go all the way down. And then what is the take profit? What are the take profit
Let's see.
levels
So if I went down to there, let's see if I can add another. Yeah, I can. It says like, all right, from around that entry of where you had 55% down, let's just say was how that gap is about 47.
47?
Okay. Oops. Let's fix this
That's your
up.
TP1, right? And then you have TP2 and 3 above that.
Yeah, 47. And then I'm just starting from there. And then looking at the chart. Yeah, 4-6. So the first TP is saying from your entry, right? So if we went down to that wherever your bottom is, uh the first TP is about, say, 53% up from that mark is the first TP. And then the second one is 56. So it looks like 55 to 86% is the top and bottom of the ranges it wants you to
Or
take profit at.
so what I would probably do is go like somewhere right here in the middle.
Yep.
And then so what's our top rate? 0.225. I would start our liquidity right here. And then come back down to our bottom of 134, 135. And what I like to do is a bid ask.
Yep.
And then on top of this bid ask, I'll add a spot. And so I'm doing 8 soul bid ask and I'll do 2 soul spot. I, this might not be the best way to do it because I'm not the best DLM member in the world, but I like having a little bit more soul up here just for fee generation. But
I see. I see.
yeah, because it just gives you a little bit of extra fees in that short term range.
I see. So you do the bid ask with maybe 8 soul, for example, in this case, and then you're doing a spot, overlaying a spot of 2 soul on the same range.
Correct, yeah. And
Nice.
if I'm like in a more volatile pair, I might do something like 6 bid ask and 4 spot. Because like what I'm expecting then is like a bunch of jumping around here.
Yeah.
And I want to maximize my fee generation, but still have this long tail if when price moves down here. Because then if we're down here, what I'm gonna do is withdraw our liquidity
Yeah.
and do a bid ask on this range up here, um, and put all of these coins that we just bought down here at a lower price and resell them at that higher price.
Nice. Yeah. And so you just kind of, I guess, oh yeah, it's all notated because you have your position anyway. So you withdraw the liquidity, just kind of copy paste basically the entry zone
Well,
or
so I
the,
don't
yeah.
I don't even have to close. I don't have to close my position.
Yeah.
Um, I can withdraw 100% of my liquidity
Ah, yes, that's right.
without closing the position and then just keep that same price range.
True, true.
Yeah. That's like the sweet spot of DLMMing. So this is kind of like my standard go-to DLMM. And then also like we'll see if there's any coins that are really ripping right now. But if there's coins going on with really high volume, then I'll do short-term spot positions um and just try and capture fees while price fluctuates. I think yesterday Toga launched and it was doing like 3 to 400K per 5 minutes. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of nuts. This is probably a rug, but if it's not, maybe we can put together a little LP and show you about it. Maybe it's not. It's definitely probably a rug. if, if you're getting this much volume, but so when I look at coins, like I like seeing sell-offs like this.
Yeah.
Let me check their Twitter real quick and see. It's not. And even if it is a rug, I might put a position together with like 1 or 2 soul just to like show you guys. Oh, their
Uh-oh.
Twitter's gone. Let me search. A rebellious subcurrency. Oh wow. Someone said Ansem bought it. All right, fuck it. I'm gonna LP it. This is like the position I'm
Degen
in.
mode, yeah.
Yeah, I get to do whatever the fuck I want. Kind of nice. But I just want to show you all how like crazy fees you can make um on short-term positions if
Yeah.
you choose your range well and if there's enough volume. So like my favorite thing to do on these coins is to set up like look at the fees. It's so freaking crazy.
Yeesh.
Yeah. I like to go from -10 to -40 because I've noticed that um you will get a lot of chop in this area even if like because this coin is gonna hit an all-time high and then it will have a sell-off.
Yeah.
Um, but almost always you get a second top because you have people who were trying to enter, they were waiting for price to dump, and when price goes down, you get that second pump up. And often it's invalidated because like you now have people who bought like 3 hours earlier and they're up 1,000%, and they're like, yeah, I'm taking profits. Thanks for being exit liquidity. But
Yeah.
I what I a lot of times see is this is kind of like what I think will happen. So we probably get a move like this, and we probably get 60 to 90 minutes of range. And then on this second top, I'll close. And you can do like 30 to 40% profit in just that really short period of time.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy.
That is wild. Let's see.
It's also such a freaking dopamine trip to just like, because if this like really moves and if we get a little bit of luck here, we'll see price go like crazy. You just see the bins flowing. And then I just like sitting freaking here and watching the fees go up, dude.
Oh, it's
It's
a
so
beautiful thing.
addicting.
It is.
It's also totally possible that this coin like rips to 5 million. Um, yeah. I also, when I'm doing this, I want to watch the buys and transactions because I want to see who are the people who are buying this coin at the top. If I like, if I look at someone's soul scan and it's like a whale with like $1 million in their wallet and they're top lasting like 10 or 20 sold, and I'm like, maybe I should maybe I should do two-sided on this.
Yeah.
Um, the two-sided positions are really aggro. And usually they don't work out, but if you get
Yeah.
in early enough, then you can do really well.
Yeah, exactly.
This coin is just, yeah, someone just bought 6K, top blasted 6K into this. I think this probably goes higher.
It's nice. And while you're doing all that too, looks like we did get some readings on that zero bro thing
Oh yeah?
too.
What does Thor think we should do?
Well, Thor on the 1 hour saying that there could be a buy hanging out at 0.0042.
Oh my gosh. So that's so close. So
Yeah,
Thor's saying
right.
we should buy here.
It's what it's looking like. Let's
Oh my
see.
gosh, that's
It says
terrifying to me.
right. Yeah, yeah, let's see what else is going on. I think, sometimes there might be some lags. I'm seeing that. Well, right now, what's the price? I think
4-4. It's
four
probably a
four.
good call, but like when I when I set up at GLMM, like I want to do something that's going to allow me to be in
Yeah,
range for
exactly.
like 12 hours. And so it was just with memes at least, like because this probably hits 4-2 and bounces again, but especially since we've been up only for like 4 or 5 days, like what I really want is I want to see a call like down here and like set something up for this like big range where I can catch um
Yeah.
I want to catch this move and then hit a bottom, then bounce.
Yeah, what's the coin address? 8x5B.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was a different one that I was looking at there too, but I'm trying to see. Maybe it's still logging the data in because it's a 0.0004. Huh. I wonder if it pulled the wrong thing, but I mean I copied and pasted it. Sorry to huh.
Well, no, it's probably an accurate call, but it's just like the time frames. Like I
Yeah,
think I think
exactly.
it'll be interesting to see what happens when price comes back here because it probably does bounce. But again, like I'd be so afraid to LP that because like
Exactly. Yeah.
you yeah, just because you have so much downside there. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't see that. So
oh
that's a
my
really
gosh.
short term kind of little swing there because it's a 15 minute. So, but yeah, I guess you can continue to your zombie.
Yeah, look at these freaking psychos just buying thousands and thousands of dollars of this coin. Do you ever trade stuff like this, Dregs?
Um, from time to time, I really don't. I mean, if anything, I do enjoy the DLMM side of it, which I think I'll knowing a little more now. I think I could get into that. But
These are
yeah,
my freaking favorite coins to LP, dude.
yeah, the LPing side, yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah, like you said, the two-sided thing, and maybe not two and two.
Yeah, it's it's so much different LPing these than it is trading these
Yeah.
because there's two ways you can make money trying to trade these coins. The first is being early, and the second is catching a dip. Um, and like early takes luck or you're an insider,
Yeah.
and catching a dip takes a lot of skill. Whereas with this, like unless this is a rug, and that can happen, it's happened to me before, but unless this is a rug, it's gonna dip and there's gonna be a second move up. Just because there's always people like if someone is willing to buy $5,000 at the all-time high, then there's also someone equally, if not more, willing to buy $5,000 worth at minus 30%.
Hmm.
Um, and so like that, this is like it's literally like one of the best performing DLMM strategies that I incorporate, just because like yeah, people aren't dumb, but like especially as we get like further into the bull market, people are so crazy with how they allocate their finances that like you can see like I think someone just bought 10K worth here. Yeah. So this is a new buyer who just fucking YOLO'd $10,000 into this random ass coin that was created
Jeez.
an
Yeah.
hour and a half ago. And this is bro, this isn't even that crazy. I've seen I've seen it like I've seen people buy 50K top lasts on coins like this.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Can we mute Khalifa?
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Sam is having a conversation with his family right now. So let's see if we can get lucky and we get a good sell off here. And then, again, like this is my favorite thing to deal on them.
And when you enter these, it looks like you're kind of starting your position like 5% lower than the price at the moment. I don't know what kind of guides you on these kind of meme coins to your
It's
entry
just
or the beginning of the.
it's just from watching a lot of charts. Like I have seen, and I'll pull up another coin after this and we can kind of look. But usually what I notice is that so let's calling it our all-time high. It's just right about there. But what I have seen very consistently is you will get this Pico top, we'll call it, and then you'll get a move about 40% down. Um, and then this range will this will create range trading for a period of time.
Yeah.
Um, you can have like let's say this is like a shitty coin that doesn't get a lot of attention after this first move, then I might get one move down and one move up. um there was so Toga launched yesterday, and Toga has a lot of lore behind it because it has some connections to goat, which is like one of the most relevant meme coins of the market right now.
Yeah.
And so it actually stayed in this range for like 12 hours because people just decided they didn't want to sell and they wanted to keep their coins. Um, but like the only scenario where this trade doesn't work profitably is if this is like a super bundled coin and they just rug, and then you'll
Yeah.
see
The
you,
straight down.
that one.
Yeah, that thing.
But um and this is also like the volume that's going on. So look at it. You have 250K worth of liquidity, but there's $4 million worth of trades in the last hour. So this
Hmm.
liquidity is getting so much. It's getting utilized so much.
Yeah, that's my favorite. It's a good, like a little lower liquidity, obviously enough, but oof, when that volume is just multiples above the liquidity, it's really nice to see. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So
Yeah.
it dipped into our range a little bit. And like this, like, bro, this is nothing. This will be at 999 plus if we actually move into the range.
Oof.
Yeah.
It's a nice, yeah, it's a definitely nice little range. And then I guess when you were saying that too, like your entry, kind of like when I'm building this DLMM, uh, when you start where it starts, I guess you kind of put it like 4 or 5% down from the
Yeah,
current price. Yeah.
I usually like minus 10% from the all-time high. I like the minus 10 to minus 40 range. So that
Okay.
like 30% range. And that's because like a lot of times this second top won't go all the way back up. And so even if we move like this and then we come here and this is like our second top, I can still be in profit because of the fee generation, even though
Yeah,
I've incurred a little bit of IL on the coins that were purchased in this range.
I see. Yeah. That helps with the little bid ask goes on with it too.
Yeah. Bro, honestly, a lot of times I don't even do the bid ask because these moves can happen so quickly that I don't want to have to try and time it. And I also don't want to remove my liquidity and then miss out on a big pump. Um, and so like I'm not trying to generate profits via selling my tokens for more. My only goal here is capturing really like large amounts of fees via volatility.
Mm, interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess I know I keep asking the kind of same question though. It's like, so our market price right now is like point, let's say the 19 mark, and then your DLMM started at 18. And
Yeah.
that's where your range is. Okay. And
Yep.
then you decided that based off of the all-time high.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, I see. I see.
And so, like, when we first started looking at this coin, I had our liquidity down here. Oh my
Holy.
God. That has to be an MEV, dude. That has to be a freaking MEV. Oh, no, dude, that's a real freaking buy. Bro, these people are crazy.
What the
I gotta check out this guy's wallet. Yeah, so somebody he definitely got MEV, dude.
jeez.
This is why you have MEV protection on boys and girls.
Oh yeah.
So,
Boy, you got slipped.
yeah, so he bought 25 freaking thousand. And then I don't think he got MEV'd. Um, you'll see this wrapped by a buy and sell if no, was this it? I don't know. Either way, dude, that guy somebody really likes this coin.
Right?
So
Lord.
in this case, what I'll probably
Yeah.
do is I'll probably just take my liquidity and move it up.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna wait a moment because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a fucking psycho buy right there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's almost no way. And so again, this coin could also rip to 10 million. And so this guy you could come back an hour from now and this guy could be a genius because he
Yeah.
just 2x'd his 25K in an hour. But it's like, oh my gosh, this is interesting. So one of the things that like if you're going to trade memes, you need to get good at studying on-chain data. So
Yeah.
DexScreener shows this guy having two sells. He sold 80K, 80 soul worth, and now he's just doubled his buy, but it doesn't show his initial buy. So this guy either he got transferred from another wallet
Yeah.
or he bought it via pump fund.
I see.
Because pump fund won't show up on the DexScreener.
Nah.
Oops. Where's the coin? Where's the wallet address? This is like some of my favorite things to do.
Investigation.
Yeah, it's because like anyone. Okay, so actually, this is weird. So he bought 2 hours ago. He bought 30 soul worth. Um, let's see what time it was. 16:46. This guy he's done pretty well in this trade so far. Yeah, look at it. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he was a god trader or not. Um,
That's wild.
so this is when he bought. He bought at was it like 300? No, it's like 600K or so. And then he sold up here for a 2 to 3x. And then dude, I bet he just gave away all his profits.
Yeah.
Knock on wood for him. But
Yeah.
that's maybe he knows something that we don't know. And this is gonna be a great trade 2 or 3 hours from now. But like, if you have 25K in your wallet, probably don't top blast it.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's a prime example. Like, bro, that's yeah, we just witnessed a top blaster, man.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, also, like, with the amount of volume that I'm seeing on this coin, I would not be surprised if it goes to 10 million. Again, like DYOR, it's not financial advice,
Yeah.
but like coins, if you get to this stage as a coin with what is it? So it's done almost 10 million volume in an hour, 2 hours. There's a good chance it goes to 10 million. It's just so crazy how the meme space is nowadays, and it's only going to get crazier in the next like 3 to 6 months. Like,
Oh
were
man.
you around for the last bull run, Drex?
Yeah. I was around. I think if we're talking about like the kind of COVID era time, I
Yeah.
yeah, I was a lot of pools in Ethereum, that's for sure. And it was pretty crazy to be honest. I was in and out really quick. Some were great, some were not, but yeah.
Do you remember Iron Finance?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, bro, people will like
Jeez.
spew hundreds of thousands of dollars at these things
Yeah, I was
if they
like,
have a yeah, it's
oof,
freaking crazy. I got really lucky on that. I freaking made a bunch of money on Iron Finance. Like,
nice.
I remember paying like 1,000% APR every day. And just like people are like, oh yeah, like this is definitely gonna keep going up.
Yep. Let's see.
So I want to talk more with some more cyber fraud guys because I bet y'all think that we're crazy for like trying to DLMM these pairs.
No, I
We have
think a lot of people are trying to actually get like into that, like kind of like where to start with all this kind of stuff really is
yeah. Y'all need to come to the jams more because like this is like really what we focus on. And then also there's a subgroup of Meteora called the Goose DAO. It's essentially like the best DLM members in the space. And like this is the stuff that like they freaking hunt for. Like
nice.
they have people online 24 hours a day just looking for these high volume launches.
Yeah.
Because if you do it with discipline and you make sure to exclude rugs, this is, in my opinion, the most consistent way to make money with DLMMing.
Yeah.
Um, any other time you're doing DLMMs, you have to, for the most part, rely on upward price movement to
Hmm.
generate profits. Like you can get lucky and have a coin range over time, but at the end of the day, you're still using your predictive abilities to try and choose a range that will stay in that fee generation period for long enough to offset any IL. And
Yeah.
so you're either hoping price goes up and you could generate funds just by trading that, or you're hoping that price stays in range and your fee generation offsets any IL. But either way, you're reliant on price movement. Whereas with something like this, like I know for a fact that people want to buy this coin, as evidenced by the dude who bought 25,000 worth 5 minutes ago. So demand is guaranteed. I know for a fact that there's demand. And so all I need to do is have one movement. I need one movement in and out of my range, and then I can close it 7 minutes later with like a 10% profit or a 20% profit. Um, and if I'm feeling really aggro, then I can hold this for 90 minutes or 60 minutes and maybe
I
lock
see.
in like a 50%. But like the only time I take an L here is if this is a rug. And so
Yeah.
as long as I do my due diligence and do some kind of like on-chain research before I enter into this position, there's going to be people taking profits. And I guarantee you there's some people somewhere on the planet right now sitting like at their computer or with their phone in hand on like freaking Photon bot waiting for this dump to occur so they can get their entry at a better price point. And then as soon as that happens, we're going to see some kind of pump upwards and then I can close in profit.
I
Um,
see. I see. So yeah, you kind of try to exit that trade kind of close to the top, or there's obviously some. So you pretty much get the bottom range, and when it kind of exceeds the top range,
Yeah,
in this example, you kind of go, okay, I'm out. Like,
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I think when I mentioned the zero bro, I think we were looking at I think you were on the Solana uh the coin versus Solana. But I see
Ah,
I see now it kind of makes more sense now that I'm looking at this chart again.
ah.
I
So it
s-
was 4-2 on the USDC.
yeah, yeah, it's looking okay. So now kind of refresh. I think it's gonna refresh it one more time. 8x5V. Let's see, 8x5V.
That makes so much more
All right,
sense.
all right, and then that's okay. So that was a 15 minute. All right, all right. I think it had enough time to totally refresh the calls. So it looks like what Thor's telling me is a long versus USDC is going to be 0.03 to 0.027.
Oh, wow. So way down here.
So that's where it's saying, hey, there's a buy
Yeah.
available like for down there. And then it's saying it's invalid at like 1 cent and some change.
Or that makes
And
perfect sense.
And then the top on a 15-minute is saying, hey, there's a short available at 0.113. It's kind of where it's got that if upper movement, then it should have some resistance there and meet you back. The TPs are at current price
Hmm.
around there.
I like that a lot.
So yeah, there you go. That's kind of a Thor. What is it saying as a TPs for the long? It's saying, hey, if you get that lower end, it's saying that the tops would be about uh like 6 cent to 7.6 is where it would rebound.
Word. I need to check on a zombie. See,
Right.
that's the move we want right there. I think because we had this big tick up, let's look at the actual so we came down 25%. I think we probably got in range a little bit.
Yeah.
No, we didn't get any. That's
Oh.
okay. We'll still probably get another move. But this like this little dip right here, this is what I'm hunting for. Is that little bounce. Um I'll show you what happened on Toga, and then we can set up a position in Zero Bro, because I think that's actually a solid call.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it gets like 10 to 30 minutes, if you're ever using this. It just gotta pull that data. So it's good to do a hard refresh and see what pops up if you're ever
That
using it.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Because then it wipes out some of the old calls it has or some like data that maybe not accurate. So yeah, after a good 30 minutes, you'll be able to see relevant calls.
Yeah, so this is like I actually LP'd this one yesterday. I closed my position too early, but um so here's our short-term all-time high. We came down 42% and we got um essentially 3.5 hours of range. So if we had done an LP that looked like this, where's my rectangle? Could have done something like this, then you can see right here, like this is the sweet spot. Like this is the perfect top end range LP. And
Yeah.
then if you had gone a little bit wider, and so this is like why this is not a normal formation. Normally you would see a breakdown here and it moved down.
Yeah.
But I think because this has such a strong connection to GOAT, people are willing to hold it for longer. But imagine if you had set up like this LP. You have,
Oof.
yeah, you would have made a shit ton of money. It's like, what is that? 20, it's like 12 hours or so of in range. And then you could have exited on top. That would have been like the God mode LP right there.
Yeah. That'd be perfect because yeah, just exit it at the top. So you're like, whatever, I already generated enough fees. And then
Yeah.
Yeah, holding out too long, it can get you a little trouble too sometimes. Because if you wanted to exit at that bottom range, where it kind of you just kept holding it, kept going above, and then it dipped back down. I guess it's
If
having
you,
that discipline.
yeah, one of the things that like I think one a great thing that as I think cyber frogs and stuff like that will do is like helping you get better at predicting price action because this right here is what it would look like leading up to a breakout where price goes up to a new all-time high. But this formation is also the same when price breaks down. Like
Yeah,
the big differentiator here is volume leading into this movement. If you have an increase in volume in this movement, you probably see a break up. Whereas if you see this kind of formation with a decrease in volume, that's when you see usually price break down.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, you do have to be careful because it's you can definitely give all your profits away if you're not on top of it. This is interesting. No one wants to sell here, or people don't want to sell enough. Let's go ahead and set up this Zeri position, and then I think we'll probably wrap it up for today. So we've
Yeah,
been
I
going
think.
for
Oh yeah,
like 2 hours.
time time flies. Almost three. Nice.
So I'd probably go like here down to like here. Is there anything that like you want to tell the audience, or do you want to do any more shout outs before we close the stream?
Yeah. Besides, I think you might be able to do some more. Let's see, kind of those little Verifrog or like the one frog holder giveaways. Maybe on the Monday, it's a little more people coming out, or if any listeners now, I could give a maybe shout out a couple there if anyone's interested. I think Castle's asking some questions, and if you want to get a little more involved with it. But yeah, I think overall, let's see. Let me see. There's a lot of I don't know. The community's really open, letting people come in and see what's good. If anyone ever has any questions or just wants to learn more, we do have events where I myself and someone called Mode. We have sessions on. I think someone posted in the comments too an event link where we shout out like the store calls. I go through calls and find trades that I want to get involved with. So that's a good way to kind of see calls and kind of maybe test it out for yourself. I know there's some more things cooking. I'd keep my eyes on the vaults, the auto trading, Jupiter, Bonk, and Solana at the moment. I think it's a good time, if you're interested, just to ask questions. We always advise people to do your own research, but I definitely would say if you're interested in DLM DLMMing and Thor, I think it's a good time to kind of jump aboard. I can't think of very much else. Uh, you know, Down the pipeline, I know there's a lot of things they're working on, but just completing these vaults are the big thing. Kind of cleaning up this, but I think what interests be interesting to a lot of people today is the SBL token request that we were going over. I think that what I learned from what you had to say, I gotta be taking that back into my own use. Checking out like some going to deck screener, seeing what's hot, pumping them into the Thor, seeing what it has to say about it, and maybe setting up some ranges if it all checks out.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you so much for like the freaking awesome offer. Literally, they're giving away 3 months of free access to Thor to 10 people. So we're definitely gonna give y'all another shout out on Monday. Dregs, I had a blast. When is the event that you guys host where you kind of like walk people through different trade setups and stuff?
I do. So let's see. I'm gonna pull up the. It's gonna go back to the events. Let's see here. So let's see. I don't think they put the UST times, but it's still at EST. But there's something called Market Flow on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. There are I do one session on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and then he does another one earlier in the day, mode at 11 a.m.
Word.
And then Andy does something. We have a little Frog Spaces on Twitter, and then at 2 p.m. he also does some Thor looking. It goes into Thor as well on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So there's a few things, and yeah, just feel free to pop in the Cyberfrog Discord, and you know people will be more than happy to tell you what's good, show you some, just help you learn, hold your
Yeah.
hand, guide you into the process. Because there's as we talked about, there's so much to discuss, and I feel like I missed some things still, like, you know.
Yeah. Maybe
So
maybe we'll do a follow-up event in a couple weeks.
yeah, that'd be pretty fun. I think we should do something like that because definitely we'll get you in touch. I'll try to I think you have that ticket open, so I think we're gonna try and link some of the team leads into
Cool.
Meteora and see, you know, what kind of partnerships, what kind of things we could do
Yeah.
to help each other out. Because I think there's
Awesome.
something really beautiful there.
Awesome. I'll be sure to talk to Ben and get that going on our end.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I enjoyed my time, and yeah, these are recorded because I think some people are asking if it was, so
Yep.
they'll be able
You
to jump back into this.
you can find them on the Meteora YouTube channel, and then it's also just going to be on the Meteora Twitter. You'll just
Nice,
find the
nice.
recordings there.
Well, awesome. Well, I definitely enjoyed my time, and hopefully, other people in the chat were able to learn, take something from this.
Yeah. Thank you again, Dregs. Big shout out to Cyberfrogs for helping set this up, and Frogs Fuck. We'll see you guys
Yeah,
next
yeah.
time.
Frogs, fuck. Let's go. Big up Meteora, and yeah, I'll be interested to see how the some of the BT Cat and some of the other uh LPs played out. That'd be
Yeah,
good.
I'll put something on Twitter later when we shut them down.
Hell
Hopefully
yeah.
lock in some profits.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, man. Enjoyed my time. You have a great
Yes.
weekend.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.